Chapter 977. Clang. After the four light beams shook on the shield's halo weakened abruptly. However, it still managed to block this fatal attack. Kai Yunqing's face turned pale. No matter how fearless he was, it was impossible for him not to be scared when he saw the deadly light beams coming at him. Seeing the huge bronze shield, he broke out in a cold sweat and heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at Yang Cheng curiously, thinking that it was Yang Cheng who had saved him. However, Yang Cheng spread out his hands, indicating that it was someone else. While the others were wondering who had saved Kai Yunqing, Yang Cheng looked at the sky in a certain direction. A loud voice could be heard from afar. "You are a disgraceful person who will bring disaster to the country and the people. Disciple of the Yin family, I will kill you today, you evil demon." A burly monk wearing a black kasaya with silver patterns and a string of black agate Buddhist beads around his neck landed steadily in the center of the arena like a black light beam. The monk's face was red and dignified, and his beard was shiny black. Under his thick eyebrows, his eyes were bright like a tiger's. If it weren't for the monk's robe, he would have looked like a great general in ancient times. While the crowd was horrified, they were also puzzled, wondering where this person came from. After the monk landed, he waved his hand, and the huge bronze shield that looked like a shadow turned into a light beam and flew into the monk's hand. However, when it condensed, it was a bronze shield that was only the size of a basin. It was hard to tell which era it was made from because of the vigorous patterns on it, but its ancient aura was daunting. Kai Yunqing, Li Mo's hen, and the others had guessed where this person came from. A messenger from Hongmeng? Kai Yunqing had taken over Lin Jigua as the general of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade after Ling Shuzi valued him. However, Ling Shuzi had almost finished his term back then, so the Hongmeng messenger who was sent out for inspection didn't know about it. Yang Cheng sighed in his heart. This monk's cultivation was actually at the late divine transformation stage, which was much higher than Yin Sanyang's. Furthermore, he didn't know what material his shield was made of, but from the way it was displayed, it seemed to be a powerful defensive treasure. When Ling Shuzi was still around, Yang Cheng's cultivation base was not high enough to see through his realm. Therefore, he couldn't tell who was stronger between the two messengers. Yin Buin's face was filled with excitement. The people from Hongmeng finally couldn't take it anymore. "I knew you would show up, but I didn't expect you to be so weak. You're the only one here?" The black-robed monk put his palms together. "Amipa, this calamity has shaken the foundation of Huaxia. If you succeed, the people will be plunged into misery and suffering, and the military will be in chaos. Today, as the messenger of Hongmeng, I will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Evil son of the Yin family, take my demon slayer staff." The monk didn't waste time. Ignoring the doubts of the crowd, he focused on his job and fought whoever came. His kasaya fluttered in the wind, and a staff that was more than a foot long with black and gold patterns flew out of his sleeve and landed in the monk's hand. The monk leaped up, and the demon slayer staff grew with the wind. In the blink of an eye, the demon slayer staff was more than 2 meters long and as thick as the mouth of a bowl. The black and gold body of the staff shone with a mysterious light. Yin Buin snorted coldly. His body surged with the strange silver-gray energy of the god stone, and he met the attack head-on. Yin Buin's body turned into a silver-gray sculpture. Every move he made was filled with violent ripples in the air. When the demon slayer staff came into contact with it, the light suddenly weakened. Clang! When the demon slayer staff came into contact with Yin Buin's arm was directly split into two. "Good. You're indeed the messenger of Hongmeng," Kai Yunqing and the rest shouted in surprise. However, Yang Cheng frowned. It was too early for them to be happy. Yin Buin's arm was broken, but he didn't react at all. Instead, his body continued to move closer to the monk, and a silver-gray shockwave erupted from his body. Screech! The monk's true core energy surged, resisting the impact of the shockwave. However, he was still unable to resist it and was sent flying more than 100 meters. The energy of the shockwave ate away the pale gold true core energy of the monk before it gradually dissipated. At that moment, Yin Buin's broken arm disappeared in midair and returned to Yin Buin's arm. Before anyone could see it, it had already completely healed. On the contrary, the monk's true core energy was weakened, and he looked at Yin Buin in disbelief. Yang Chun thought to himself that Yin Buin had indeed improved a lot. Yin Buin's recovery speed wasn't as fast as before, but his energy wasn't as weak as before. At the very least, his strength had leaped to a whole new level. However, Yang Chung had no intention of helping the monk. After all, he could hold on for a while. Moreover, whether the monk died or not did not matter to him. On the other hand, Yang Chun didn't dare to be careless with the 30 or so modified bio-warriors surrounding them. Those silver cannons were not to be taken lightly. Among the people present, other than Tang Wan and Kai Ning, Li Dun was also someone to be taken care of. However, compared to Tang Wan, the other two had a certain level of self-defense. Yang Chung did not bat an eyelid. In a flash, he appeared behind one of the bio-soldiers that was holding a silver cannon. A wave of heaven and earth restoration force instantly slammed into the soldier's head. This time, after the sound of flesh tearing, the soldier was minced into a pile of minced meat, starting from the head. This was also because the body's genes were taken from Yang Cheng's body. Otherwise, it would have been a pile of minced meat. Even so, such a bloody and brutal way of killing made many of the women present vomit. Kai Yunqing and Li Mozhen looked at each other. They knew that if they stayed any longer, they would only be a burden to Yang Chung and the monk. Immediately, they ordered everyone to retreat from the Tang residence. However, Yin Buin, who was facing the monk in the sky, seemed to have predicted their thoughts. Just as a few special forces soldiers were about to flee the scene, 2 silver beams were fired from the cannons. Damn it, Kai Yunqing cursed. He was trapped inside and couldn't get out. Tang Zhichen looked on coldly. Don't waste your energy. None of you will be able to escape today. Once the Li family is gone, the Yang family and the Ning family will be next. So what if the envoy from Hongmeng is here? We are going to destroy the whole of Hongmeng. How arrogant! How arrogant! The monk in the black kasaya was furious. He raised his demon slayer staff and swung it horizontally. Heavenly note, Dermic wheel. As soon as he finished speaking, a circle of golden talismans was released from the demon slayer's staff. The circle of light grew bigger and bigger until it was more than 10 feet wide. For a moment, it was as if hundreds of monks were chanting Buddha's name. The direction of the circle of light was Tang Zhichen, who was on the ground. This little bit of true yuan. The envoy from Hongmeng is only SOSO. Yin Buin punched out, and a silver ripple shook the dermic wheel. Bang! With a loud explosion, the dermic wheel was devoured by the silver energy. How? How is this possible? The monk was shocked. What kind of evil energy is this? How can disintegrate true yuan? Yang Chung, who was on the ground, frowned. He moved again and appeared in front of Yin Buin. With the monk's ability, there was no hope. Oh, you want to come? That doesn't seem appropriate. Yin Buin smiled mysteriously. Yang Chung was shocked. Not good. As expected, the men on the ground with the silver cannons were already aiming at Tang Wan and Kai Ning. Dodge! Yang Chung shouted. He wanted Kai Ning to dodge. He had to trust Kai Ning's speed and save Tang Wan himself. A few more silver-gray beams of light pierced through, and a few more careless servants of the Tang family collapsed and disappeared. Tang Wan only felt her body move rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, she was already beside Li Dun and Tang Xai. Kai Ning, on the other hand, managed to dodge with her superb qinggong. Oof, you're fast enough. But no matter how fast you are, they won't be able to escape, unless you can take them all away in an instant. As soon as Yin Buin finished speaking, the silver cannons flashed again. This time, they were aimed at Li Mozhen, Kai Yunqing, and the others. If they were fired, they would all be killed. Oh no, we're too close. Kai Yunqing was annoyed. He didn't pay attention to the instructions on the spot. Yin Buin smirked. It's too late. Fire. Chapter 978. Yang Chung was out of ideas. He did have a Qian Yuan Tiangang bracelet, a mid to low tier artifact that could be used for defense. However, at such a crucial moment, he did not dare to be careless since he was not familiar with using magical treasures. He channeled 100% of his heaven and earth restoration force to create a giant barrier that covered the entire area. Boom! More than a dozen silver light beams hit the invisible shield and exploded into a silver light screen. Yang Cheng felt a strong surge of qi and blood. He almost lost control of the shield and broke it into pieces. Fortunately, Yang Cheng had been through a lot since he was a child. In the eyes of others, it was as if his heart and lungs were being torn apart, so he could endure it. Yang Cheng's strong mental strength was not something an ordinary person could compare to. After withstanding the wave of attacks, he did not look too good. However, with the recovery effect of the endless resolve restoration scripture, he immediately adjusted his condition and replenished enough heaven and earth restoration force from the spiritual qi in his body. The shock made Tang Wan and Kai Ning's hearts jump to their throats. They ran to Yang Cheng's side anxiously. "Are you okay?" The two women asked at the same time. After saying that, they realized that they were in the same position. They could not help but blush in embarrassment. Although they knew each other's existence, they did not have a close relationship. Yang Cheng took a deep breath and said with an evil smile, "Take care of yourselves at a time like this. After I kill them, you just have to serve me well." "You're still joking." Tang Wan could not help but laugh. This man seemed to be fearless no matter what kind of situation he was in. In fact, that was indeed the case. Although Yin Buin's methods and strength were so high that he could threaten Yang Cheng had grown up in battles since he was a child. Perhaps getting married might be a little tricky, but when it came to fighting, he would be dreaming if he claimed to be the second brother and the first brother. In this short moment of respite, Yang Cheng suddenly found a crucial point that he could use to win. So that's how it is. As Yang Cheng calmed down, a bold idea popped up in his mind. "All of you stand here and don't move. It's best if you stick close to each other. If you don't want to die, don't ask questions. Otherwise, don't blame me for not warning you if you die." As soon as Yang Chen's voice fell, his silhouette flashed again. The moment he appeared, he landed beside the two bio-warriors. One of them was holding a silver cannon, while the other kicked Yang Chen as soon as he saw him. Yang Chen didn't dodge. He grabbed the leg that was coming at him, and two bursts of heaven and earth energy rolled out, crushing the two bio-warriors into pieces. In the sky, the monk wielded the demon's staff and fought continuously with Yin Buin. However, Yin Buin seemed to be, and the monk was unable to use it. All sorts of attacks formed by true Yuan force were nullified by Yin Buin's attacks. They were of no use at all. On the ground, Yin Buin continued to control the other warriors to attack the Li family and Kai Yunqing. Other than the dozen people holding the cannon, the rest of the warriors rushed forward like hungry wolves. Their bloodthirsty red eyes were filled with wild, inhumane savagery. "Protect the director. Protect the general." The agents held 50 caliber automatic rifles and fired wildly at the group of people. However, when the bullets touched the bodies of these monsters, they only created sparks and did not have any effect. Damn, I finally understand how despicable Yang Dun is. This is not a human body. Monster! Li Dun yelled at the top of his lungs. Kai Ning was not happy with him talking bad about her lover. She said coldly, "Instead of talking about this, why don't you think about how to hold them off for a while? We have to share some of the burden with Yang Cheng." "Hee hee, your lover is not happy about it." "Umph." Kai Ning snorted coldly and did not bother to reply. The woman aimed at the two approaching bio-humans and used her qing gong to leap into the air. She gathered her Xiantian true qi and threw out pear blossom needles with her sky flower rain technique. The needles surrounded the two of them like a net. Although the two bio-humans had strong bodies, they were just Yang Cheng's physical body. They did not have any cultivation to protect them. When the pear blossom needles pierced into their eyes, black blood instantly gushed out. After being blinded, they lost the ability to continue fighting. They could only fight wildly in the surroundings. On the other side, Li Dun, whose cultivation had reached the Xiantian full cycle, was much more ferocious. He had already taken off his blindfold. His fists were filled with the dense Xiantian true qi of the Tibetan Tantra. He collided with the warriors that were close to him. Explosions could be heard everywhere. Previously, he was almost killed by the 5 biohumans because he needed to protect Tang Xian. But now, Tang Xian had Yangcheng to protect her. He could fight these guys without any worries. Soon, the heads of the 2 biohumans were smashed. Brain juice flowed out, and they died on the spot. After a while, the remaining 10 men with silver cannons fired another fatal beam at the group of people. After Li Dun and Kai Ning escaped, Yang Cheng's figure returned to the group of people. After a 100% power barrier was erected, it once again forcefully blocked this wave of attacks. I understand now. Li Mo's hen was pleasantly surprised. Although these weapons are extremely powerful, they also require a certain amount of time to accumulate their energy. If we can eliminate these modified warriors during this time, we will naturally be able to defeat them. Old man, your reaction is not bad. A drop of cold sweat dripped down Yang Cheng's forehead. It was not easy to block the attacks. Yin Bun, who was still in midair, laughed out loud after he forced the monk to retreat. So what if you found out? These antimatter energy cannons are just test products that I imitated from the energy in the God Stone. Even though there are only a dozen of them, they are enough for you to use all your strength to defend against them. If I were to use the purest antimatter energy from the God Stone, you would be no match for me, Yin Bun said arrogantly. Antimatter energy? Yang Cheng was stunned. Yin Bun laughed coldly. Idiot, you occupied the God Stone for so long and even received the divine light. So you don't know the essence of the God Stone? This is the purest antimatter crystal in the universe. It is independent of the space that stabilizes matter. Be it your true yuan or Xiantian true qi, none of the energy in the entire space can compete with the antimatter energy in the God Stone. As long as I have the God Stone, I am a god that transcends the laws of space. I am invincible. All of you must die. Yang Cheng's expression did not change, but his heart was in turmoil. This Yin Bun really did have the capital to be proud. The God Stone was not new. It probably had at least tens of thousands of years of history. In the process, no one had been able to use the God Stone so thoroughly and study it so deeply. He, Yin Bun, was able to discover the essence of the God Stone and use the antimatter energy to such an abnormal degree. It was really terrifying. However, Yang Cheng did not know that Yin Bun did not completely rely on himself to understand the essence of the God Stone. If it was not for Athena's tens of thousands of years of thinking and some basic results, no matter how talented Yin Bun was, it would be difficult for him to analyze the God Stone to such an extent without any foundation. Of course, Yin Bun would not say everything. In his opinion, after the conspiracy with Tang Zhichen was completed, it would be the death of everyone present, including Yang Cheng. Shameless brat, don't be so arrogant. The monk, whose black robe was tattered, was burning with anger. He raised his demon slayer staff and charged at Yin Bun. Formless heavenly sound, indestructible, Azura Dharma body. The true core force condensed from the pure Buddhist mental cultivation method, transformed into a huge Azura Dharma form. It had 8 arms and a ghost head, and its screams were accompanied by Buddhist Sanskrit. This time, it was obvious that the monk had reached the end of his patience. As the messenger of Hong Meng, he was supposed to decide the outcome of the battle, but now he had become a useless person. As the demon slayer's staff shone brightly, the Azura Dharma form roared and shrouded Yin Bun, who was standing in the air. For a moment, it was as if a golden sun had suddenly exploded in the sky. The sound of clanging and the sound of air turbulence tearing was accompanied by gusts of strong wind. The ordinary people on the ground could not open their eyes. 2 silver-gray flames danced in Yin Bun's eyes. His white robe fluttered in the wind, and a silver-gray antimatter energy light ball had quietly formed from his heart. The Azura Dharma form was a Dharma body doppelganger that was almost taboo in the Buddhist sections. After all, Asuras were a race of hell, and it was not conducive to the cultivation of the Buddhist sections. However, in order to kill Yin Buin, the monk could not care too much. He used his cultivation at the final stage of the incarnation stage to completely devour Yin Buin. When the Asura Dharma form completely enveloped Yin Buin, the monk was overjoyed. The demon slayer staff shone with a golden light and struck at Yin Buin's head. However, just when the monk thought that Yin Buin could not withstand it, the light ball in Yin Buin's heart suddenly exploded with a dazzling brilliance. The silver-gray light was like countless fine steel wires. After penetrating the Asura Dharma form, it ate away at it and completely disintegrated the Asura Dharma form. And because the monk was too close, his body was also hit. Pu-pu-pu-pu-pu. Several penetrating sounds rang out, and blood suddenly scattered in the air. Chapter 979. The big monk looked at the motionless Yin Buin in disbelief. He did not expect that the antimatter energy could be raised to such a level. He actually did not use his full strength all this time. Seriously injured, the big monk could only put away the demon slayer staff and release the bronze shield, forming a huge shield shadow to protect himself, so that he could rest for a while. He took out an unknown pill from his sleeve and immediately swallowed it. The big monk obviously needed to heal and stabilize the true qi in his dantian. Yang Cheng, who was watching from the ground, was also a little shocked. He did not dare say that he could withstand the power that Yin Buin had just displayed. Could it be? Yin Buin was not in a hurry to attack the big monk. He looked down at Yang Cheng and the others on the ground and said, "Why? Are you afraid? I want you to walk bit by bit into the abyss of fear. You will find that you will become more and more desperate. Fire!" The remaining 7 or 8 warriors activated the antimatter energy cannons again. Yang Cheng opened his shield and was hit by another round of silver-gray antimatter energy. After a while, his face turned pale, and he quickly replenished his heaven and earth energy. Then, together with Kai Ning and Li Dun, they went up and killed a few more of these warriors. Seeing that the number of warriors on the ground gradually decreased, especially those with the antimatter energy cannons, there were only 5 of them left. Yin Buin was not nervous at all. Well, it seems that these experimental subjects are not reliable. There is still a lot of room for improvement. Yin Buin seemed to be inspecting something. He leisurely strolled a few steps in the air and glanced at the big monk who was healing behind a shield. He grinned and said, "Bald donkey, your Hongming only sent you here. Aren't you afraid that no one will report to you if you die?" The big monk's beard trembled. "Yin family's kid, this poor monk will send you into the 6 paths of reincarnation." Having said that, as if unable to control his anger, the monk silently chanted a Buddhist incantation and summoned the demon slayer staff. At the same time, he pushed the bronze shield towards Yin Buin. The huge shield shone brightly. Amidst the vigorous and deep roar, it formed a huge and aggressive wave. The monk followed closely behind the giant shield. The demon slayer staff in his hand was like a flood dragon emerging from the sea. It was obvious that he wanted to coordinate with the giant shield and the demon slayer staff to form a double attack. This was a good idea. If Yin Buin was arrogant and dared to clash head-on, he might be able to take the opportunity to deal a heavy blow. As for Yin Buin, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Clearly, he had no intention of dodging. Yin Buin raised his hand, and in his palm, a silver-gray antimatter energy spot flashed directly. Boom! With a loud bang, the spot of light suddenly burst out into a pillar of light that was as thick as a millstone, constantly expanding. This pillar of light was many times more powerful than the one shot by the antimatter energy cannons. Even the combined power of the dozen or so energy cannons wouldn't be as powerful as this. The big monk didn't even have time to touch it before he was engulfed by the entire pillar of light. It was as if the sky had been dyed with a silver-gray color. When the enchanting color gradually dimmed, only then did everyone realize, covered in cold sweat, that the big monk had already disappeared. Of the 2 Dharma treasures, One was the bronze shield, which had shattered into pieces of scrap metal and fell to the ground. As for the demon slayer's staff, it seemed to have been corroded by countless droplets of water, losing its luster and shattering into powder after falling to the ground. Floating in the air, a few pieces of the black kasaya with silver patterns landed in the courtyard of the Tang family. Instant kill. It was actually an instant kill. A late-stage soul formation cultivator with protective Dharma treasures was actually instantly killed, just like that. Only then did everyone wake up from their daze. This Imbuin was clearly just messing around. After giving everyone hope, he directly threw it into the abyss. Yang Cheng was even more certain of his guess. The antimatter energy contained in those antimatter energy cannons was all filled with the energy in your body. You are the source of this energy. Yin Buin blew on his palms and lowered his head with a smile. I'm not afraid to tell you that right now, I'm Godstone, and Godstone is me. As he spoke, Yin Buin suddenly pulled open his white coat. A soul-stirring scene appeared. In Yin Buin's chest, there was an area the size of a heart. It was pitch black inside, as if a living thing was constantly wriggling inside. Godstone. Yang Cheng immediately recognized what that object was. You fuse Godstone into your body. Could there be a more terrifying mad scientist than this? Using his own heart and replacing it with God's stone? Ha ha! What, are you afraid? Yin Buin laughed wildly. The current me has completely matched the energy frequency of the Godstone. The Godstone is constantly transmitting the purest antimatter energy to me. I have become the brain of the Godstone. It is no longer a mere dead object that can only be used by you bunch of mediocre people for some deification experiment. Only I, Yin Buin, am worthy of such a great masterpiece of the universe. After saying that, Yin Buin suddenly raised his hand. A silver-gray pillar of light suddenly exploded towards the area where Yang Cheng and the others were. Yang Cheng reacted almost instantly and opened his shield. The remaining 5 cannon-wielding warriors also activated their antimatter cannons. Rumble. This time, the shield formed by the power of heaven and earth trembled especially violently. The antimatter energy that Yin Buin casually released was even more powerful than the previous dozen cannons. Yang Cheng could not help but feel his meridians tremble violently. He only felt that his internal organs were overturned, and a trace of blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. Old Yang Cheng, Li Dun, Tang Wan, Kai Ning, and the others all shouted in shock. In their eyes, Yang Cheng, who was almost invincible, actually suffered internal injuries. After withstanding the first wave, Yang Cheng immediately activated the Endless Resolve Restoration Scripture to quickly heal his internal injuries. He grinned reluctantly. It's nothing, just a small injury. Umph. Yin Buin laughed. My antimatter energy is endless. A small injury? Wait until I hit you a few dozen more times. Let's see if you still have a small injury. As he said that, he raised his hand again, not giving Yang Cheng any chance to breathe. No, don't ask, don't hit. Suddenly, Tang Xine, who had been hiding in the crowd, rushed out. Her face was pale with fear, but Tang Xine mustered up all her courage and begged Yin Buin. Don't ask, please stop. Don't make things worse. As she said that, Tang Xine pressed her lower abdomen. Look here. Here is your child. Are you so heartless that you won't even let your own child go? Bitch, Tang Xine, what are you doing? Xine Air. Among the crowd, some of them did not know that the father of the child in Tang Xine's stomach was Yin Buin, so they couldn't help but scream. Li Dun, on the other hand, had a look of pity and endless anger on his face. Tang Zhichen looked on coldly, as if it had nothing to do with him, waiting for the final result. Yin Buin narrowed his eyes and sneered. You bitch, so you're still alive? What? Tang Xine couldn't believe what she was hearing. I said you're a bitch, didn't you hear me? Bitch, bitch, is that clear enough? Yin Buin grinned. Do you really think you're human? Ever since old man Tang arranged for me to get to know you, you've only been a false spy used to create a smokescreen. In my eyes, Your body is just a venting bucket that I can play with whenever I want. If you're not a bitch, what are you? Shut up. Li Dun was furious. He rushed forward and hugged Tang Xine. You're a lunatic. You killed your own child. You're the animal. Humph. Yin Buin snorted. Child? Only when I give birth to a human child is a child. A bitch that got pregnant because of a little training from me. Is that a child? If you want to play with this bitch, I'll give it to you. Tang Xine staggered. Her legs were no longer steady, and tears flowed down her cheeks like rain. Her eyes were lifeless. She saw that the strongest of them, Yang Cheng, was in a tight spot, so she wanted to buy some time, hoping that Yin Buin would show mercy. She only had a sliver of hope that Yin Buin would show mercy, and she knew that Yin Buin would not take her seriously. After all, he already knew that she had a child, but she did not expect that the result would be so much worse. Chapter 980. Yin Buin, cut the crap. You've already killed the people from Hongmeng. What's next is to kill these people from the Security Bureau and Yellow Flame Iron Brigade. After that, you'll kill Yang Cheng and annihilate the Yang family and Ning family. When that time comes, the people from Hongmeng won't be able to do anything. What's the point of caring about these people? Tang Zhichen said slowly. You? Tang Zhichen, you're dreaming. Li Mo's hen shouted angrily. Tang Zhichen snorted and ignored him. He turned his head and looked at Tang Wan, who had a look of despair on her face, and said, Little Wan, you're still a useful person to the Tang family. If you come back to grandfather, I can guarantee that you won't die. I'll let you continue to manage the business in the south. Tang Wan shook her head stiffly, but her eyes were shining with determination. You poisoned your own granddaughter just to steal the blood of my beloved man. You're not my grandfather. You don't deserve to be my daughter's great-grandfather. Even if Yin Buin kills me today, I won't recognize you as my ghost. Ha! Yin Buin laughed. Old man Tang, it seems that your granddaughter doesn't care about you. Since you've done a good job in the logistics department for me, I'll let her die a painless death. Humph. Tang Zhichen's eyes were cold. It doesn't matter if she doesn't want to return to the Tang family. After all, she's just a woman. Once she has a man, her heart doesn't belong to this family anymore. As he spoke, Tang Zhichen turned to Tang Huang and the rest of the Tang family members and said, If any of you are dissatisfied with my actions, feel free to step forward. I don't need those cowardly idiots in the future Tang family. With this shout, the group of people from the Tang family fell silent. Even Tang Huang closed his eyes and lowered his head. Although they were afraid, they could see the situation clearly. Now, even Yang Cheng was struggling, and Yin Buin had the upper hand. If he did not follow behind Tang Zhichen, he might die immediately. Besides, if the Tang family really destroyed the Yang family, the Li family, and the Ning family, what benefits would they get as the #1 family in Huaxia? That was unimaginable. Some of them felt desolate and had to endure the humiliation for the greater good. Some of them were secretly excited and had their own ulterior motives. Seeing that no one was against him, Tang Zhichen smiled meaningfully. He looked at Yin Buin and said, All right, let's do it. Those who deserve to die today will all die. You don't have to tell me. Yin Buin raised his hand again and shot another thick antimatter energy beam at the people on the ground. Just as Yang Cheng was about to activate his protective shield, he realized that something was wrong. Li Dun, as Tang Xine had rushed out to protect them, Li Dun and Tang Xine were a little far away. In order to protect the Li and Kai family, Yang Cheng had already activated his protective shield to the limit. If he expanded it any further, he might not be able to withstand it. At this moment, he could only watch as the two of them were exposed. Li Dun also realized the situation, but he immediately realized that Yin Buin's light beam would not hit them directly. Only one of the 5 small light beams would collide with them. In that split second, Li Dun gathered all his Xiantian true qi and hugged Tang Xine as tightly as he could. Even so, the speed of the antimatter energy cannon was still much faster than his speed. Rip! Li Dun's clothes on his back were torn apart, and a trace of antimatter energy scraped through his muscles. Arg! Li Dun's eyes widened, and he let out an uncontrollable cry of pain. The cruelty of having one's body eaten away was not something an ordinary person could imagine. Fortunately, Li Dun's cultivation had reached Xiantian full circle. Although it was not as strong as true inner force, his innate qi could slightly suppress the antimatter energy. The huge wound on his back that was expanding continuously started to be controlled by his innate qi, but it was bloody and terrifying. Dun air! Li Mo's hen and the rest shouted. This was the only child of the Li family. How could they not be worried? Tang Xin felt that at that moment, Li Dun had actually used his own body to save her, and she could not help but be completely stunned. Although she had always known that Li Dun was trying his best to protect her, and that morning in the forest, he had also done the same to protect her. However, this was the first time she had felt the man's unreserved love for her so clearly and intuitively. What was even more unimaginable and unacceptable to Tang Xin was that she had admitted that the father of her child was Yin Buin's enemy. And under such circumstances, Li Dun, he was still willing to protect her? Unable to think of anything else, Tang Xin felt Li Dun's hands slipping away from her due to weakness. She could not help but turn around. Li Dun, the landlord, was crying on the ground. Li Dun, why are you so stupid? Li Dun's lips were pale as he tried to control his injuries, but he could not say anything. Yang Cheng was furious, but he did not lose his mind because of Li Dun's injury. Taking advantage of this empty space, he continuously flashed past the 5 soldiers with the cannons. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions were heard. It was Yang Chun who had used all of his power to shatter the heads of the 5 remaining biochemical warriors. The remaining few did not have weapons, so at least Kai Ning and a group of agents would not be able to kill the people on the ground. Yang Cheng did not have much time to deal with Li Dun's injuries, because Yin Buin, who was floating in the air, was the most important target at this time. Even so, he did not have 100% confidence. Yin Buin seemed to be enjoying the grief on the ground. When he saw Yang Cheng rushing into the air and confronting him, he turned his head. You should know that you are no longer my opponent. I'm going to destroy Hung Meng and become the strongest man in the world. Yin Buin proudly raised his head. If you submit to me now and become my subordinate or slave, I can let you live for a few more days. Yang Cheng clenched his fists and looked at the people on the ground with serious expressions. Although I don't know if I can kill you, I still haven't found the person who treated you like a dog behind your back. How can you die so quickly? What did you say? Yin Buin's eyes were full of fierceness. Am I wrong? I have to admit that you have been hiding well, and your strength has increased to a level that I did not expect. But before that, if it wasn't for the person who stole the divine artifact and the God Stone helping you, I'm afraid you wouldn't have survived until today. Even though I don't know who that person is, in his eyes, you're definitely just a slave. That person is the one I'm looking for. Yang Chen sneered. Yin Buin trembled in anger. What do you know? I don't want to waste my time with you. Today, I will prove that I am much stronger than you. I will tear you into pieces, turn you into ashes. Once you are dead, I will send your women to the dirtiest places and let countless men play with them. Otherwise, I will never be able to vent the hatred in my heart. After he finished speaking, a silver-gray antimatter energy flashed in Yin Buin's chest. Yang Cheng did not dare to underestimate his opponent. The heaven and earth restoration force formed a powerful vortex around him, ready to resist the incoming energy at any time. At the same time, because he had completely released his cultivation, a monstrous wave of pressure enveloped him. The clouds in the sky began to move irregularly, and the wind began to howl. The space around Yang Cheng began to vibrate unstably. Kai Ning, who was on the ground, used her hidden weapons to blind the eyes of the soldiers, and the pressure on her was greatly reduced. However, no one had any thoughts of escaping because it was too late. If they went to a crowded place, it would be a disaster for the innocent people. It could be said that the outcome of the battle between the two in the sky would depend on whether the two in the sky would win or lose. Just as everyone was tensing up, Yin Buin made his move first. Yin Buin was burning with anger. This time, not only did light appear in his chest, but also in his hands. Go to hell. Three beams of antimatter energy shot towards Kai Ning and Tang Wan on the ground. Despicable. Yang Chung had expected this. If this guy really attacked him, he could still dodge. But if he attacked the people on the ground, especially his women, he could only take the three beams of light head-on. Chapter 981. Almost at the same time, Yang Cheng's figure appeared above everyone. The heaven and earth restoration force twisted into a vortex-like shield and collided with the three beams of light. In an instant, the entire sky was filled with blinding silver dust. The antimatter energy was like a torrential downpour, splashing around a void shield and turning into little raindrops. This seemingly gorgeous scene was incomparably fatal. Yang Chung felt as if all the bones in his body were about to shatter. His blood and qi were surging like countless streams and torrents, constantly attacking all the pain nerves in his body. This feeling was more painful than death, and Yang Chung couldn't help but let out a muffled groan. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, which smelled fishy. Yang Chung, even though everyone on the ground was watching, their hearts had already sunk to the bottom. Tang Wan and Kai Ning couldn't help but tear their eyes and bite their lips. It was already quite difficult to defend against the combined attack of the antimatter energy cannons. Now that Yin Buin had suddenly increased his antimatter energy by more than 3 times, it wasn't as simple as just stacking it up. Every time a limit was reached, the more likely it was to bring about a complete collapse. It was like a bridge that was loaded to its highest point. Any further, and it would collapse if an ant were to step on it. Although Yang Cheng's heaven and earth restoration force could be quickly replenished, Yin Buin's antimatter energy was also the purest unstable energy in the universe. Moreover, with the help of an absolutely pure crystal like the God Stone, the recovery rate could be said to be endless. The endless resolve restoration scripture didn't have any special cultivation technique that could make the heaven and earth restoration force extremely powerful. All the techniques that Yang Chung used were all comprehended by himself. It was easy to deal with ordinary cultivators above the soul-forming stage, but against cultivators at the tribulation-passing stage who had magical treasures and spells, it might not be able to gain much of an advantage. The Yin Buin in front of him seemed to have completely controlled the God Stone. After merging with him, all the antimatter energy was used to carry out pure destruction and annihilation. It was not something that a half-baked cultivator like Yang Chung could resist. If it weren't for the fact that the heaven and earth restoration energy was much stronger than ordinary ethereal force and could be quickly replenished, Yang Chung would have been killed. Yang Chung barely managed to stabilize his body. His face was pale as he floated down to the ground, gasping for breath as he tried to repair his body and recover the power of heaven and earth. What's wrong? You can't take it anymore? Didn't you say the outcome was unknown? Don't you think you're very powerful? Yin Buin's face was twisted as if he was teasing a reptile. Yang Chung clenched his teeth, the anger in his heart surging and roaring. But there was no good way to deal with this guy. Although antimatter energy was not something that he understood, as far as he knew, it was the most primitive energy in the universe. It was just like how there must be a cathode when there was a positive pole. For the universe to be stable, for space to be stable, there must be a stabilizing force. And antimatter energy was precisely the thing that made space unstable. In other words, purely in theory, the energy in a conventional stable space was weak to antimatter energy unless it could be an absolutely pure and stable power. However, what kind of force was absolutely stable and pure enough to fight against antimatter energy? Yang Chung was sure that there was such a thing, just like how poison must have an antidote, but how would he know what it was? Before Yang Chung could think further, the silver-gray ball of light in Yin Buin's chest once again erupted with a light beam that was twice as thick as before. A huge ball of light gradually condensed in both of his hands, as if he was trying to suppress the antimatter energy into a huge ball. Yang Chung did not have time to think. He could only take it head-on. At that moment, he could run away, but the woman on the ground would not have the chance to dodge. The heaven and earth restoration energy that had just barely recovered formed a huge void shield that was even thicker than before, and it collided with the deathly light beam. Bang! Bang! Yang Cheng felt like his bones were about to fall apart, and the corners of his eyes were starting to bleed. Even with his insane body, he could not withstand such continuous damage. If this went on, it was only a matter of time before he lost. Kai Ning, who had just finished off a few bow soldiers on the ground, finally showed a rare hint of excitement on her cold face when she saw this. Yang Cheng, don't just defend without attacking. He's only acting so recklessly because you're only protecting us. Li Mozhen, Kai Yunqing, and the others were embarrassed. If it wasn't for the fact that they couldn't escape and couldn't fight, they wouldn't have ended up in such a useless state. They even dragged Yang Chun down. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly in his heart. If he were to attack, he might not even be able to defeat Yin Buin. If Yin Buin shot 2 of those light beams, even if Kai Ning could dodge them, what about Tang Wan? What about the injured Li Dun? Li Dun, whose face was as pale as a sheet, was trembling with anger. He leaned against Tang Xian's chest, but he glared at the smug Yin Buin who was smirking in the sky. I can't believe I'm dragging OL Yang down. For someone as arrogant as him, ever since he met Yang Cheng, it was understandable that he was no match for Yang Cheng. After all, they had different experiences. But Yin Buin, who was purely relying on scientific research, was able to treat him like an ant. This made him feel terrible. Tears streamed down Tang Xian's cheeks. She looked at the man in her arms, who had changed from a cheeky smile to a solemn but haggard look. She suddenly realized that she did not care about how Yin Buin treated her. Instead, she felt as if her heart was being stabbed by a knife. Yin Buin looked down at everyone and sneered. What a bunch of stupid bugs. I can only say that I'm too lazy to waste my time with you. If I was more diligent, I would have killed you all long ago. I wouldn't have needed to use this trick to gather you all together. If you have any last words, say them now. Of course, I won't help you fulfill them, other than making you die faster. After that, Yin Buin's hands formed 2 huge balls of antimatter energy that looked like hot air balloons. The balls of antimatter energy were flowing with silver-gray light spots. They looked like intertwining lightning bolts as they smashed down. This kind of explosion was even more explosive than the light beam. Yang Cheng had not figured out how to win by surprise. He could only try his best to defend against this wave of attacks. Otherwise, the ground would be turned into a crater, not to mention the people on the ground. Even the people on Tang Zhichen's side, who had already run far away, ran even further away in horror. Yang Cheng had used up all of his cultivation, even more than when he fought against Yin Buin. Although the sky was filled with rolling clouds and the wind was howling, there was no sign of thunder. Yang Cheng wished that he could have a 9 heavenly lightning tribulation. Maybe he could have killed Yin Buin with it. Then, he would have to leave it to fate. However, the heavenly tribulation that he had been carefully guarding against seemed to be far away from him. Yang Cheng knew that with his current cultivation, he was afraid that there was still a long way to go before he could go through the second heavenly tribulation. It was probably unrealistic to think that he could improve his cultivation during the battle. But if he used the heaven and earth energy to defend himself, it might not be enough to deal with this attack. Gritting his teeth, Yang Cheng took out the Qianyuan Tiangang bracelet that he had obtained from the shabby Taoist from the parallel space. This bracelet was a defensive magic treasure. According to Si Yao Chi Ching, it should be of the middle or lower grade. It should be of a higher grade than the big monk's bronze shield. Although he was not very good at using magic treasures, Yang Cheng still planned to use all of them. This series of thoughts happened in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint. When the 2 huge balls of antimatter energy were about to hit him, the Qianyuan Tiangang bracelet on Yang Cheng's hand was also activated by the special ethereal force of the heaven and earth energy, and it emitted a platinum light. A relatively small platinum light screen appeared above everyone. All of Yang Cheng's heaven and earth restoration energy formed a second layer of shield, and once again, it covered everyone. When the collision was about to happen, everyone felt as if their ears had gone deaf. Most of them closed their eyes, not daring to look at the cruel scene that was about to happen. Tang Wan and Kai Ning, on the other hand, stared at Yang Chun intently. When they realized that the two balls of energy had been depleted, they were delighted at first, but then they screamed in shock. Yang Cheng's body trembled, and then he suddenly fell. Chapter 982. In midair, after using everything he had to resist the two balls of antimatter energy, Yang Cheng felt as if his body and mind had been struck by lightning, his internal organs twisting. When he realized that his Dantian Sea of Qi was empty, Yang Cheng could no longer support his body. His vision darkened, as if he had been blown off the clouds by a gust of wind. Yang Cheng felt a huge pulling force pulling him down vertically. It was as if he could hear cries, roars, and ear-piercing wild laughter, but none of this seemed important. Yang Cheng felt so tired that he didn't want to think about anything. Was he going to die? Wasn't he already incomparably familiar with death? He had been hovering between life and death. Perhaps this time he was really going to die. He always felt that there were a lot of things he couldn't let go of, but in this case there was no way to persist. Yang Cheng thought so, and gradually his thoughts stagnated at that moment, and everything fell into darkness. He didn't know how, but a period of time passed. Yang Cheng felt as if he had lost his entire body, leaving only a trace of his thoughts, drifting in the darkness of nothingness. Vaguely, there seemed to be a voice calling out to him from the depths of the darkness. "Useless boy, you're just going to admit defeat like this?" A vague but clear voice passed into Yang Cheng's divine sense. What he could feel was a kind of vicissitude, simple and unruly aura. Yang Cheng wanted to ask who the owner of this voice was, but he found that he couldn't speak, couldn't even open his eyes, and couldn't even understand whether he was alive or dead. The world is vast, and all things are intelligent. The body cultivates the power of heaven and earth, and should show the power of heaven and earth, but ignores the essentials and uses that clumsy trick. What is law? What is artifact? It's ridiculous, borrowing the power of heaven and earth. It's better to be the world and transform into the universe. Power is not power, but the power of heaven is power. This voice that shook the soul slowly narrated, causing Yang Cheng to fall into a deep thought that he had never had before. For a moment, Yang Cheng forgot to find out who this person was, nor did he care about what had happened to him. Force? Influence? Yang Cheng seemed to have some enlightenment, but he couldn't grasp it, couldn't touch it. This was a very mysterious thing. Yang Cheng always felt that it was a door that he had never experienced before. Once it was opened, it would be another vast sea and blue sky. Finally, after saying a lot of mysterious words, there was a slight change in the voice. "Fine, I'll reluctantly help you this once. How much you can endure will depend on your comprehension." In the middle of the Tang family's courtyard, after Yang Cheng's body fell from the sky, Kai Ning leaped up like the wind, hugged Yang Cheng, and landed in front of everyone. When Yang Cheng's body finally landed, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This was not the usual Yang Cheng's appearance. The corners of his eyes, nostrils, mouth, and even the sides of his ears were bleeding. His body also seemed to have been cut by 1,000 knives. There were wounds everywhere, and scarlet blood soaked all of his clothes. This was a bloody man. Tang Wan had already lost the strength to cry. She covered her red lips and knelt on the ground in shame, as if everything was over. Kai Ning gritted her teeth. Her clear eyes seemed to want to pierce through Yin Buin's heart as she stared at the man who was laughing maniacally in the sky. Li Mozhen and Kai Yunqing were also barely standing. Li Mozhen had to rely on his son, Li Yunping's support to not fall. Yang Cheng had actually been defeated, and he had been beaten so miserably. To them, this was simply a bolt out of the blue. The Hongmeng envoy was almost instantly killed, and Yang Cheng was also beaten to the point where he had no strength to resist. Could it be that Huaxia was really going to change? From afar, Tang Zhechen saw this scene, and a hint of fanaticism flashed in his eyes. It was as if the plan that he had painstakingly planned for many years was finally going to succeed. After Yin Buin finished laughing, he blew on his fingers and said, "What Pluto?" He can't even withstand a single blow. A true powerhouse will not have any weaknesses. He can simply grab two women and they won't be able to fight back. He doesn't even have the right to fight me face to face. You're shameless. You don't even dare to fight Yang Chung face to face. So you use us to threaten him. You're not a man at all. Tang Wan screamed in pain. Even with her strong mental fortitude, facing Yang Cheng's current state, she was on the verge of breaking down. Yin Buin looked at her disdainfully. You're ignorant. If you were willing to follow that old man just now, I could have spared your life. But now, I'm not in the mood to watch you continue to cry. After saying that, Yin Buin raised his hand, and a ball of silver-gray antimatter energy began to condense again. Obviously, he planned to give everyone the final blow. At this moment, Yang Chung, who was being held by Kai Ning, suddenly moved, only to see Yang Chung, who was lifeless a moment ago. After a slight tremble, he sat up on his own. Then, slightly swaying, he still stood up and raised his head. When Yang Chung opened his eyes, his gaze was a little dull, but if one looked closely, they would see a strange gaze that didn't belong to Yang Chung at all. Oh, you can still stand up? Interesting. Yin Buin grinned. I can kill you a few more times. This will also make me feel better. After saying that, Yin Buin waved his hand down. A beam of antimatter energy shot towards Yang Chung again. No, Kai Ning exclaimed. How could Yang Chung, who had just stood up and was still covered in blood, block such destructive power? Without hesitation, Kai Ning didn't even have time to think about it. She flew in front of Yang Chung. The woman closed her beautiful eyes, and tears fell. When Kai Yunqing saw that his daughter was actually going to block the beam for Yang Chung, his heart almost flew out his chest. Just at this moment, when everyone thought that Kai Ning was going to die, the situation suddenly changed. The moment the beam of light was about to touch Kai Ning, it miraculously dissipated. It was as if an invisible bottomless pit had appeared in front of Kai Ning. After swallowing all the beams of light, there was no trace of it. Kai Ning was originally prepared to die, but she didn't expect that nothing would happen. She couldn't help but turn around curiously. In the sky, Yin Buin looked at the strange scene and was stunned on the spot. Antimatter. Energy? Mph. All of a sudden, Yang Chun let out a weird chuckle. He silently raised his head, revealing a mysterious smile on his pale face. There are 3,000 paths, but they all lead to the same destination. Even if they're not in this world, they're still in this universe. They're just some turbulent spiritual chi. How dare they call themselves so arrogant? Ridiculous, ridiculous. Yin Buin furrowed his brows. He vaguely felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. You've lost to me, but you can still start to brag. Don't tell me you think that bluffing will scare me away. I'll let you see what happens when you play tricks in front of me. Yin Buin was furious. The antimatter energy in his body skyrocketed again, and 3 giant energy balls gathered in his hands and chest. Yang Chung methodically absorbed the heaven and earth restoration energy to repair his body. At the same time, under everyone's watchful eyes, he slowly rose into the sky. This time, I won't give you another chance to recover. I'm going to make you disappear completely. Yin Buin's facial muscles were trembling. Clearly, he was giving it his all. Yang Chung did not panic. He closed his eyes as if he was enjoying the rolling clouds and the howling autumn wind. The more nonchalant he looked, the more humiliated Yin Buin felt. I'll let you die a quick death. Yin Buin roared. The 3 giant light balls shot out intense beams of light, and at the same time, the light balls pounced at Yang Chung. Everyone was originally on tenterhooks at this moment, but what happened next made everyone dumbfounded. The 3 light balls began to dissipate again. Not only did they turn from big to small, but the originally gray energy also began to surround Yang Chung. When a silver-gray antimatter energy formed again around Yang Chung, it had gradually turned into a trace of blue-purple energy. Vaguely, there was actually lightning flashing. Everything in the world originates from the same source. How does your antimatter energy feel when it turns into this purple lightning dragon? Yang Chun seemed to be amused. All the thick electric currents surrounding him suddenly turn around. After they swept up high, they twisted into a thick electric pillar and then made a sharp downward turn. Boom! There was a sound that sounded like the roar of a dragon. Before Yin Buwen could blink, a blinding purple-blue electric dragon swallowed him. The speed of the electric dragon was immeasurable. Yin Buwen had already dodged it, but when the electric dragon passed through him, he was still hit. As if he was hit by a thunderbolt, Yin Buwen's whole body tightened. After a violent tremble, there was a charred smell, and his clothes were blown into a pile of rags. What made him even more painful was that all his internal organs were almost burned. If it weren't for the antimatter energy's healing function, he would have already died. Everyone below was dumbfounded. No one could have imagined that Yang Chun not only resolved the strongest bombardment, but also transformed the antimatter energy into his own power after grinding it down. Yang Chun, on the other hand, was calm and smiled lazily. It seems that your antimatter energy, although pure, is a little weak. This time, let's see what I prepared for you. Chapter 983. As he spoke, as if following Yang Cheng's will, the rolling clouds in the sky became even more turbulent and turbulent. As the clouds rapidly thickened, there were already traces of electric sparks in a heavy collision. In the blink of an eye, everyone saw that above the dark clouds, the lightning dragon shuttled back and forth, and the sound of thunder exploded. It was as if there were thousands of heavenly soldiers and generals, and the sound of metal clashing was mighty. Yin Buwen couldn't help but raise his head to look at the sky. However, in the face of such a strange scene, other than being stunned, he had no other thoughts. "Where are you looking at?" Yang Cheng narrowed his eyes and asked. Yin Buwen turned his head abruptly, only to see that there was a coiling fire snake on Yang Cheng's hand. This fire snake was made up of pure golden red flames. It was unknown when it had wrapped around his arm. The blazing high temperature had even made Yin Buwen, who was dozens of meters away, feel the surging power contained in it. However, such a fire snake in Yang Cheng's hand did not cause any discomfort to Yang Cheng at all. The world is vast. The vegetation, water, earth, wind, thunder, lightning, and fire all follow the Tao of Yin and Yang. Although this Nanming fire can't be compared to the Samadhi sky fire, it can't be compared to the mysterious karma fire, but it is also the purest fire elemental energy in the world. It's just right to deal with your insignificant skills. As soon as he finished speaking, the fire snake in Yang Cheng's hand suddenly swept up high. Following that, it dove towards Yin Buwen. The moment it left Yang Cheng's arm, the fire snake suddenly expanded. The fire snake, which was originally as thick as an arm, actually expanded to several meters thick in an instant, turning into a proud fire dragon that was dozens of meters long. Yin Buwen originally wanted to avoid it, but he realized that the entire space around him was already filled with fierce fire elemental energy. Other than forcefully resisting it, there was actually no better way. A mass of antimatter energy immediately spread out, and the moment the fire dragon engulfed him, Yin Buwen felt as if his entire scalp was about to be burnt. In the eyes of the people on the ground, the sky was already covered in dark thunderclouds, and under the thunderclouds, there was a fire dragon that looked like it came from ancient myths. It was roaring and roaring, dyeing half the sky into the color of crimson flames. Wherever it passed, it was as if the entire sky had been torn into two. The magnificent scene was like the light of the polar region. It was completely unimaginable that it was a desperate slaughter. Amidst the screams, Yin Buwen discovered in disbelief that although his antimatter energy could offset and disperse the fire elemental energy, the fire elemental energy carried by the fire dragon seemed to be endless. Between heaven and earth, the power of heaven and earth is endless. How can a grain of light like you compare to it? Yin Buwen's body seemed to be constantly floating in the vast ocean, and from time to time, he would be engulfed by the scorching waves of fire. If it was not for his extremely strong self-recovery ability, Yin Buwen believed that he would have been completely burned to ashes. Don't be complacent. I will never lose. Yin Buin roared, and the god stone in his heart began to erupt with more antimatter energy, and the silver light expanded again. Dying struggle. After Yang Cheng said disdainfully, he waved his big hand toward the sky and suddenly grabbed it. Rumble. Everyone on the ground subconsciously covered their ears in horror. This was because, amidst the surging electric currents, a thick bolt of purplish-blue lightning actually descended from the purplish-gold-colored thunderclouds. This lightning was not like usual, which dissipated after falling, but turned into an electric snake that constantly trembled and hissed, and was held in Yang Cheng's palm. That's right, it was held in his hand. The electric snake that connected heaven and earth was like a dazzling giant whip, obediently dormant in Yang Cheng's hand. Just as Yin Buin was about to exhaust the power of the fire dragon, Yang Chun made his move again before he could even catch his breath. Tai Ching Heavenly Lightning. The long whip of divine lightning in his hand that pierced through heaven and earth almost smashed toward Yin Buin. The speed of the lightning was not something that Yin Buin could react to. Even if he wanted to dodge, there was nowhere to hide. Clang, clang, clang. The space seemed to be split by this lightning, and the blue and purple electric light plunged the whole world into a dazzling halo. After Yin Buin only felt an energy that he could not understand surge through his body was no longer under his control, and the antimatter energy in his body was completely extinguished under the impact of this pure power of lightning. If Christine, Poseidon, and the others who had seen Yang Cheng's first 9 heavenly lightning tribulation were present, they might look at this scene in even more disbelief. This was because the Tai Ching heavenly lightning, which was originally used for tribulation transcendence, had now become a freely controlled weapon in the hands of Yang Cheng. Yin Buin's clothes had long been torn to shreds, and his body was charred black. The black god stone on his chest was only emitting a weak antimatter energy. It was as if he had been struck by lightning and couldn't even lift his head. Yang Cheng, who was standing proudly in the sky, glanced indifferently at Yin Buin on the ground. After slowly landing on the ground, Yang Cheng walked to the side of Yin Buin and raised a golden red flame in his hand, like a golden lotus of desire, and slowly landed on Yin Buin's chest. This is the Samadhi heavenly fire, which is far beyond what you can do. The rise and fall of fate, all because of this small black stone. Today, this ill-fated fate will be broken. Yin Buin's eyes widened, and he stared at Yang Cheng, but he did not have the strength to resist at all. In the midst of everyone's horror, they saw that the golden flame gradually burned the god stone, emitting waves of black gas, and the god stone squirmed and shrank unwillingly. When the god stone in his chest was completely burned, Yin Buin's eyes became empty, lifeless, and gradually turned gray. This body, which seemed indestructible all this time, evaporated in the golden flames in an instant. It was as if there had never been such a crazy life in this world. It wasn't until 10 seconds later that the people from the Li family and the Kai family let out joyous cheers. Kai Ning and Tang Wan also cried tears of joy. Tang Xen hugged the pale-faced Li Dun in her arms, and they both smiled as if they had just escaped death. This short battle, which lasted less than 2 hours, caused too many people to experience countless joys and sorrows. They thought about it hundreds of times, and it seemed as long as several centuries. And Yin Buin's existence, to them, had been a thorn in their side for a long time. Today, they were finally free. Tang Wan and Kai Ning looked at each other, and they both smiled happily. Although they did not know each other before this experience, which was equivalent to a narrow escape from death, allowed them to get to know each other a lot. The scene of Tang Wan resolutely choosing to be with Yang Cheng, and the scene of Kai Ning standing up to block the light beam for Yang Cheng, were seen by both of them. Perhaps, emotionally, they both wished that the other did not exist, and that one less person was one less person. But without a doubt, at this moment, the two of them had enough respect and admiration for each other. Just as the two of them were about to walk up to check on Yang Cheng, they saw that the legs of Yang Cheng, who was standing just a moment ago, suddenly went limp. Yang Chung. The two women's cries immediately made everyone look at Yang Chung, and they were freed from their joy. Yang Chung fell heavily to the ground, as if he had lost all his strength, and there was no reaction. After Kai Ning picked him up, she realized that Yang Chung had not fainted, but his face was a little blank, and his eyes seemed to be in a trance. At the same time that they breathed a sigh of relief, the two women were curious about his expression. Could it be that Yin Buin's complete annihilation was not something to be happy about? What's wrong with you? Why do you have such an expression? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Tang Wan asked with concern. Yang Chung looked up at the vast sky in a daze. The rolling thunderclouds from before had dissipated, and the howling wind from before had not the slightest ripple. There were only traces of devastation on the ground, and one could see the tragic battle from before. As the world power, Yang Chung murmured. What? The two women did not understand. Yang Shin took a deep breath and didn't answer. He said bitterly, what an irresponsible fellow. If you're going to teach me, you should teach me more clearly. How long do I have to think about this? Listening to Yang Chung talking to himself, the two women were particularly confused. Yang Chung suddenly recovered and saw Kai Ning hugging him and leaning on the woman's chest. He could not help but turn his head and smile, using his face to squeeze the woman's chest. Chapter 984. Kai Ning's pair of peaks weren't particularly majestic, but they were quite exquisite and soft, just like two balls of tofu. Yang Chung let out an ah in enjoyment. Ninger, you smell so good here. Kai Ning was caught off guard, and her face flushed red. She frantically pushed this shameless man away and scolded. You're obviously fine. Why are you pretending? Hey, Ninger, it wasn't easy for us to escape from death. We have to be happy. Don't be shy. Yang Chung turned around and said with a smile, Come, let's kiss. Oh, right, Xiaowan is here too. Let's kiss together. As he spoke, Yang Chung opened his arms and was about to embrace the two women. This dramatic turn of events left Li Mo's hen, Kai Yunqing, and the others dumbfounded. This guy had just gone through such a fierce battle, and now he was busy flirting with women? Tang Wan was a little embarrassed to be called Xiaowan. After all, no matter how young she looked, she was still more than 10 years older than Yang Chung. How could she stand it? She quickly pushed Yang Chung away and said angrily, What are you calling me? Call me by my name. Yang Chung scratched his head. You didn't call me wrong. Don't we all call you that in bed? You shut up. Tang Wan was about to go crazy. Seeing Kai Ning looking at her strangely, she couldn't help but want her to faint. Kai Yunqing couldn't bear to listen anymore. He coughed twice and walked forward. Yang Chung, let's not talk about that for now. The Tang clan's matter isn't over yet. Yang Chung got up from the ground and patted the dust off his clothes. What else could it be? Yin Buin is finally dead. As for the rest, it doesn't matter if they're still alive or not. You guys can do whatever you want. Yang Chen had his own considerations as well. Tang Zhichen was Tang Wan's grandfather after all. Even if the old man was indeed out of his mind, he didn't have much time left to live. It didn't really matter if Yang Chen killed him or not. On the other hand, if Yang Chen were to say anything, Tang Wan would definitely feel conflicted. Li Mo's hen and Kai Yunqing looked at each other and thought that this guy was quite cunning. On the other hand, the members of the Tang family stood further away from Tang Zhichen when they saw the situation had changed. They all wanted to distance themselves from Tang Zhichen. Tang Zhichen seemed to have aged a few years in an instant. He staggered back to his wheelchair and stared blankly into space. Li Mo's hen gestured to the agents of the Security Bureau, and they immediately surrounded Tang Zhichen. Grandpa, Tang Wan murmured. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she couldn't say anything. Tang Zhichen looked up with a gloomy face and said, Don't look at me with pity. Victory and defeat have been common since ancient times. I've lived enough of my life. Since I lost today, it means that you and your family members are not doomed to die. However, even if I lost, the Tang clan is still the Tang clan. Tang Zhichen looked at Yang Chung sarcastically and said, Yang family boy, even if you defeated Yin Buin, you are still no match for that person. Sooner or later, you will find that everything you have done is in vain. Yang Chung didn't reply because it was meaningless to say anything at this moment. Humph. I know you very well. As long as Shaowan is here, you won't do anything to the Tang clan. Moreover, the other members of the Tang clan didn't participate in what I did. I was already prepared for the Tang family to suffer heavy losses. I even thought about whether Xiao Wan and Tang Huang would die in this grand plan. That was why I sent Tang Ju from my sect to Russia, but now it seems that there is no need for many arrangements. When Tang Wan heard that, she immediately exclaimed, Tang Ju went to Russia for that reason. She knew that her younger brother went to Russia to manage his business. She thought that it was to train his temper. She didn't expect that Tang Zhichen wanted to leave a legacy behind. Old man Tang, you are very calculative. Unfortunately, you underestimated the difference between Yang Chung and Yin Buan, Li Mozhen said. So what? At least I know how to fight against that rotten dog, sh*t Hongming. Unlike you, you only know how to be Hongming's lackey. The whole of Huaxia is controlled by a bunch of evil people who think they are holy. Tang Zhichen said disdainfully. Kai Yunqing frowned. I think there is no need to say that. Yang Chung, what do you think we should do with Tang Zhichen? It's none of my business. I'm only here to save him. Yang Chung ignored the two and walked to Li Dun. He squatted down and placed his hand on Li Dun's wrist. Tang Xian immediately let go of Li Dun when she saw Yang Chung. She stood at the side and looked at Li Dun worriedly. Yang Chung had fully recovered. He channeled a stream of heaven and earth restoration energy into Li Dun's body to expel the leftover antimatter energy. Li Dun's wound healed immediately. Li Dun's complexion finally returned to normal. He grinned and said, Old Yang, how did you get just now? I thought we were going to fail miserably today. Yang Chung pouted. That wasn't me. Wasn't you? What do you mean? Li Dun was puzzled. Yang Chung also knew that he could not explain it. The feeling just now was too surreal. He was watching everything, but he did not have control over his body. He could clearly feel the movement of the heaven and earth restoration energy, but he was just watching from the side. He could not fully understand the essence of the energy. Li Dun did not ask any more questions. He stood up and grabbed Tang Xian's hand. Xian, you don't have any reason to reject me now, right? Li Dun looked serious. You were already interested in me. You can't lie to me. Tang Xian did not expect Li Dun to suddenly say this. She struggled and said, Stop fooling around. It's not over yet. Who cares? Nothing is more important than me chasing my wife. Li Dun patted his chest and shouted. Li Mozhen and Li Yunpeng's faces darkened at the commotion. Li Yunpeng cursed. You brat, don't you know where you're at? Is this the time to talk about romance? I'm looking for a daughter-in-law for you. There's no need for that. Li Dun rolled his eyes at his father and continued to hold on to Tang Xian's hand. Xian, you're the first and last girl I've ever loved. Will you marry me? He asked earnestly. Tang Xian's pretty face was flushed, but her eyes were filled with melancholy and sorrow. I'm just a stupid woman who was used and fooled by others. I'm just a broken shoe that was thrown away. I don't know anything, and I'm not as pretty as most girls. You are the heir of the Li family, and you're so powerful. There will be many girls who are better than me who will like you. Don't waste your precious time on a woman like me. You're just too anxious now. When you calm down, you'll understand the difference between us. Li Dun, I really can't agree to this. I can't hurt you. So, thank you, but I can't accept it. The words made Tang Wan and the others sad. Yang Chung, on the other hand, looked like he was watching a good show. Li Dun was going crazy. You always say that you're not good enough for me, but why did you reject me so righteously? I'm begging you in such a humble manner, but you're not willing. Fine, I just saved your life, so shouldn't you repay me? You could be my wife to repay my kindness. Is that okay? How can you do this? Tang Xian looked around awkwardly. Many of the Tang family members looked at the two with envy and indignation. Xian, just promise me that you'll be with me for the rest of your life. Li Dun begged again. I promise that I won't care who you marry in your next life or the life after that. But in this life, you have to be with me. I promise that you'll live a happy life until you die. If you don't believe me, I promise that I'll die later than you. Is that okay? Tears welled up in Tang Xian's eyes. But I'm pregnant. I don't care if you have child or not. I love you. I don't care if the child in your stomach is mine or not. I love you and the child. Two streams of tears fell from Tang Xian's eyes. What else could be more heartbreaking than the man in front of her? Crazy. This kid has really gone crazy. Li Mo's hen mumbled with a pale face. Li Yunpeng looked helpless as well. Since Li Dun had put it this way, as the elders, they knew that even 100 bulls couldn't pull him back. Many of the Tang family members were in disbelief. Tang Xian actually made Li Dun say something like that. After all, if the child in Tang Xian's stomach really was Yin Buin's, then the Li family would be raising a child of the Yin family. Seeing that Tang Xian still didn't answer, Li Dun shouted angrily, "If you don't say yes, I'm going to lose all my face. How am I supposed to live in the future? I've been chasing a woman for half a year, and I still can't get her. I'll just die, forget about it." With that, Li Dun raised his palm and was about to slap himself on the head. No. Tang Xian quickly grabbed Li Dun's arm and looked at the child like Li Dun pitifully. "If you die, who will buy me ice cream in the future?" Li Dun froze for a moment before his expression turned into one of ecstasy. "Huh, Xian Air, you agree?" Looking at the shy woman, Li Dun did not hesitate to hug Tang Xian tightly, as if he was not going to let go. Chapter 985. When the gloomy clouds shrouding Yanjing City gradually dissipated, a completely different scene could be seen in the extreme north, under the Arctic ice cap. The temperature was dozens of degrees below zero, turning this area into a forbidden zone for life. Of course, some special life forms were naturally an exception. In the huge metal laboratory covered by a layer of silvery white ice, apart from the large screens flashing with various complex patterns, there were thick cylinders. Inside the transparent cylinders made of special tempered glass, there was a large amount of special nutrient fluid, and inside it was a biochemical modified human body that was not wearing a single piece of clothing. At this time, inside one of the cylinders, a man with long hair hanging loosely over his shoulders suddenly made a special movement. This man, he opened his eyes. It was as if countless programs had been activated in that instant. Hysterical rage and hatred flashed through the man's eyes. After clenching his fists tightly and trembling fiercely in the nutrient fluid for a while, the man reached out and pressed a special button inside the cylinder. When the button was pressed, the nutrient fluid inside the cylindrical tempered glass cylinder was automatically and rapidly extracted, drying out the inside. After half a minute, the man opened the cylinder and walked out from inside. The man's body seemed to be very weak, and he staggered out of the cylinder and almost staggered to a platform in the laboratory. In the center of the platform, under a white shield, there was a thumb-sized black crystal that was emitting a silvery gray luster. A fanatical smile appeared on the man's face, and he muttered to himself, "Yang Cheng, do you think you can kill me? Yin Buin, never do things without a backup plan. As long as there is a part of the Godstone left, I will kill you sooner or later." Yin Buin, who had activated a new body, felt a little uncomfortable after saying these two sentences. He covered his forehead and weakly slid to the ground, gasping for breath. At this time, a metal door of the laboratory moved with a screech, and the figures of a woman and two men walked in from the outside. The woman was dressed in an orange-red lace dress, sexy and flirtatious, and full of charm. Of the two men, one was dressed in a military uniform, and the other was wearing striped clothes that looked like a patient's uniform. But what they all had in common was that the three of them were not afraid of the terrifyingly low temperature in the North Pole. Yin Buin raised his head and frowned when he saw the three of them coming in. "Why are you still here? Didn't I tell you to go back to Huaxia?" These three people were impressively Luo Tsuishan, Yang Lai, and Wen Tao. Yang Lai smiled. "It's meaningless whether we go back or not, so we might as well wait here for you to come back. But I just received news from Yin Jing that you were killed by that bastard. We made a bet. How could a person like you not leave a way out? Sure enough, you're still alive." A trace of disdain flashed in Yin Buin's eyes, Why, you want me to die? Of course not, Luo Zishan chuckled, walked forward, and helped the naked Yin Buin up, letting him sit on a metal chair. If it wasn't for you, we would have died a long time ago. We were still hoping that you could lead us to kill all the bastards in Beijing. You can only rely on me, a bunch of useless things. Without me, you can only sit and wait for death, or never see the light again, Yin Buin sneered. Wen Tao walked forward timidly and asked carefully, Young Master Yin, how did you come back to life? I'm very curious. Can you tell me about it? It's really amazing. Yin Buin stared at Wen Tao arrogantly. It seems that although your body has reached the physical fitness of Yang Lai and Luo Zuishan, your beggar's heart will always be like this. You can even beg so humbly when asking a question. Humph. You're born to be a slave. Wen Tao shrunk his head and lowered it even more. There's no harm in telling you. It's just that you might not understand, Yin Buin said proudly. I just cloned a complete body of my own and copied all the information in my brain onto the brain biochip. At the same time, I synchronized the data and set up a password lock. If my number one body has no life activity, this body's chip will be activated. This way, after I die, another me with all my previous memories will come back to life. I'm afraid that this bunch of idiots in this world won't be able to understand this in the next 200 years. Just listen. Yin Buin was very pleased with himself. After all, he was the only one who could master such a super biochemical technology. As long as he could find a base that wasn't discovered, he could theoretically resurrect indefinitely. The only thing that made him depressed was that Tang Zhichen from the Tang family had always been his source of supplies. After this, the Tang family would no longer be his ATM, and he would have to find a new pig to slaughter. Wen Tao looked at Yin Buin with admiration. So it works like this? Young Master Yin is indeed a world-shaking genius. Ha ha! Yin Buin laughed maniacally. You're really good at bootlicking, but I like to hear it. Wen Tao shook his head seriously. No, I'm serious. I guess it's true then. Yin Buin smiled happily. Yang Lai and Luo Zuishan looked at each other inexplicably, and a strange smile appeared on their faces, as if they were mocking something. A trace of confusion appeared between Wen Tao's eyebrows. He asked again, Young Master Yin, are you feeling unwell? Why do you look uncomfortable? Yin Buin heard this and immediately said through gritted teeth, I'm fine. It's just that I've just activated this body, and there are many functions that haven't been activated yet. When I integrate this God Stone into my body, I'll be able to immediately return to my previous state. The next time I go to Yinjing, it will be the day all of them die. Wen Tao looked at the God Stone under the cover and asked in a low voice, So this is the God Stone? What? You don't think so? Yin Buin glanced at him. Although it's only a small piece separated from a mother's body, I naturally have a way to strengthen its power. Antimatter energy can be expanded through its own absorption, so it's useless to tell you more. Wen Tao nodded blankly. Young Master Yin, I'll go find some clothes for you. Yin Buin looked at his naked body. Although he didn't mind, he still nodded. Hee. When Luo Zuishan saw Wen Tao running to get his clothes, she couldn't help but laugh and say, Don't ask, this little cripple seems to admire you a lot. For a bitch like you to take a fancy to such a guy, I'm afraid that sooner or later, you'll eat him until not even his bones are left. Yin Buin said disdainfully. Luo Zuishan snorted and walked forward. She slowly hooked one hand around Yin Buin's neck, while the other hand followed the firm chest muscles of Yin Buin's new body and extended downwards. Yin Buin's instinctive reaction made his eyes heat up, and his body began to react. When Luo Zuishan's hand landed on Yin Buin's lower abdomen and touched the sturdy pillar, Yin Buin let out a hoarse voice. Yang Lai, who was at the side, watched calmly, as if he was very interested. Luo Zuishan blew a mouthful of fragrance into Yin Buin's ear. Her red lips parted into a smile, and she said, How is it? Am I still a bitch? Yin Buin snorted coldly. Although the strength in his hand hadn't recovered, he still grabbed Luo Zuishan's neck and pressed the woman's head towards his body. Luo Zuishan didn't resist and obediently squatted between Yin Buin's legs. After rolling her eyes at him coquettishly, she opened her mouth and sucked on that swollen thing. Yin Buin's throat once again let out a moan of enjoyment. He couldn't help but raise his head and enjoy the service of the vixen between his legs. At this moment, Wen Tao, who was holding a white coat, walked in. When he saw Luo Tsuishan doing something for Yin Buin, his pupils shrank for a moment before returning to normal. He carefully walked up the stage and stood behind Yin Buin. "Young Master Yin, let me help you put on your clothes." Yin Buin was immersed in the soft, warm, and moist feeling between his legs. He nodded indifferently and opened his arms. At this moment, Luo Tsuishan, who was swallowing half of the thick thing, had a sharp glint in her eyes. Suddenly, Luo Tsuishan bit down hard. The moment Yin Buin felt his root break, he felt as if a wild beast had been shot through the heart. But before he could push Luo Tsuishan away, Wen Tao, who was behind him, had already taken out a sharp alloy dagger from his white coat and swiftly slashed across Yin Buin's throat. Yin Buin didn't even have time to react before his head fell to the ground. At this moment, Luo Tsuishan stood up. Her face was covered in blood, and she was still biting on that half of the root. She casually spat it out and spat it onto Yin Buin's bleeding neck. Luo Tsuishan chuckled sinisterly. Yang Lai, who was standing at the side, clapped his hands and shook his head as he praised. "Not bad. It was very seamless. I didn't even need any help." Wen Tao's face no longer had the flattering expression from before. His face was cold, cruel, and fanatical. He casually threw the dagger in his hand away and stomped on Yin Buin's head, turning it into a pile of meat paste. "Idiot, you haven't recovered your strength yet, and you're already acting like a boss in front of us," Wen Tao sneered. "From today onwards, everything you have will be mine." Chapter 986. I'm sorry, everyone. My spine and head hurt a lot, but I managed to suppress it after sleeping for 2 nights. It's painful to struggle, no matter how much Yin Buin thought about it. He would never have thought that he would die at the hands of the last person to complete the biochemical transformation. Yang Qing also didn't expect that the madman that he had chased for months with the help of a mysterious person wasn't actually killed in front of him. When Wen Tao spat a mouthful of saliva on his remains, it seemed to indicate that the once top genius in Huaxia had finally died. A strange thought flashed through Yang Lai's eyes. "Are you sure you can handle Yin Buin's techniques?" he asked. Wen Tao glanced at him and pointed at his head. "Did you forget that he said what he relied on to synchronize his memory?" "Little cripple, you mean the biochip?" Luo Tsuishan smiled. "That's right." Wen Tao grinned. "We just need to take out the biochip in his head and pull out what we need. After that, it won't take much effort to return to Yin Buin's previous strength. As long as we don't fight with Yang Chang head-on like that idiot Yin Buin, we can play him to death in secret." Yang Lai raised his eyebrows. "Then I can only hope that you can achieve this plan as soon as possible. As for the logistics, I'll help you settle it." Luo Tsuishan giggled. "You've already been excluded by the Yang family. Why? Do you still have your own treasury?" Yang Lai sneered. "A skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. Besides, I haven't lost yet." When Tao and Luo Tsuishan looked at each other and smiled. The atmosphere under the ice in the North Pole was extremely strange. Beijing. There was no longer any suspense about the major change in the Tang family. Tang Zhichen had no other way out, but his arrogance made it impossible for him to accept the end of his life. When the old man took out a pistol from his pocket, aimed it at his head, and pulled the trigger, Yang Cheng, the only one present who could react in time, did not choose to stop him. No one would doubt that this was the old man's final correct decision. At the very least, he carried the last shred of dignity of the Tang family patriarch. Although they had been cruelly treated, Tang Wan and Tang Xian were still extremely sad. After all, they would not be able to live a good life in the short term. This made the sweetness between Li Dun and Tang Xian pale in comparison. After losing the backbone that they had always relied on, the most capable people in the Tang family to take over as the head of the family were Tang Wan and Tang Huan. However, the two of them, who had always treated each other as competitors, strangely chose to work together peacefully. Tang Huang was still mainly in charge of the Tang family's businesses in the north, while Tang Wan was still in charge of the businesses in the south. Logically speaking, Tang Zhichen's crime was close to treason, and the Tang family status as one of the four major families should have been revoked, and most of their businesses should have been nationalized. However, what puzzled the upper class of Yanjin was that apart from Tang Zhichen's death, the Tang family was completely unscathed. Even the Li family, Ning family, and Yang family did not take this opportunity to swallow up a portion of the Tang family's wealth. Only those who were closest to the truth would understand the most important factor. Although the Tang family had lost Tang Zhichen, they still had Tang Wan. Tang Wan was not qualified, but Tang Wan had Yang Cheng by her side, so the Li family and Ning family did not have the time to think about it. Especially the Li family. No matter how much Li Mozhen wanted to deal with the Tang family, he had to consider if Yang Cheng was willing to do so, even if Yang Cheng did not seem to care about it. Moreover, although Tang Zhichen was gone, he left behind many mysteries. First of all, the Tang family had a feud with Hong Meng, and there was a hidden story behind the death of Tang Wan's father, Tang Luan. Secondly, the mysterious veil of Hong Meng had been lifted. The Hong Meng ambassador was killed by Yin Buin, and no one knew what Hong Meng would do next. For Li Mozhen and the others, the upcoming battle was not something they could interfere with. They might need Yang Cheng's help at critical moments, so they would not find fault with Yang Cheng. The most awkward one was the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, which was led by Cai Yunqing. This was the first time they had seen the ambassadors sent by Hong Meng, the founder of Hong Meng. They fought with the enemy, but they did not expect the Hong Meng ambassador to die. This made Cai Yunqing very worried. Would people from Hong Meng come to question him in the future and vent their anger on him, even if it had nothing to do with him? Therefore, Cai Yunqing could only hope that Yang Cheng would help him in the future, seeing that he had given 2 daughters to Tang Zhichen. That afternoon, Tang Zhichen announced his death with the reason that he died of illness. Yang Cheng calculated the time. Lin Ruoxi would return to Zhonghai by plane at night, so he accompanied Tang Wan to attend the funeral. Tang Wan was not in a good state. She had been close to Tang Zhichen for decades, but she suddenly found out that Tang Zhichen had been using her and did not care about her own life. If it were not for the fact that she was already in her 40s, she would have been devastated. At Tang Zhichen's wedding, other than the people in charge of the Tang family's businesses all over the world, only Tang Tang was not invited back. Tang Wan did not want her daughter to see her so haggard. When night fell, Tang Wan, who was dressed in plain clothes, went back to her house after seeing off the guest who had come to say goodbye to Tang Zhichen's memorial tablet. Everything that had happened that day had happened so quickly that it made her feel like she was dreaming. However, everything had already happened. From tomorrow on, the Tang family would not be one of the 4 dominant families, but a family that relied on the support of the Yang family. When Tang Wan entered the house, she realized that Yang Cheng was sitting in the living room, talking on the phone. She recalled that if it wasn't for this man who risked his life to turn the tide today, she would have been dead by now. Tang Wan felt a little nostalgic, and her gaze towards Yang Cheng became gentler. Yang Cheng frowned. He heard from Ron that the plane had arrived in Zhonghai, but when he called her, Lin Ruoxi's phone was turned off. When he called home, Mother Wang, who had come home with Lin Ruoxi, told him that Lin Ruoxi had driven out and was not at home. She did not tell him where she was. After calling Lin Ruoxi's office and phone, Yang Cheng was about to call Molin, who had returned to Zhonghai with him. He wanted to ask him where Lin Ruoxi had gone, but Tang Wan walked in. Seeing the pale-faced beauty smile at him with pursed lips, Yang Cheng felt a little heartache. He sighed and put down his phone. Are they all gone? Yes. Tang Wan nodded and walked behind Yang Cheng. She bent down and wrapped her arms around Yang Cheng's neck. She took a deep breath and said, They said they were here to send you off, but they were actually very happy. It seems that you and Don Wan will be under a lot of pressure in the future. Many people will start to think that the Tang family is easy to bully. Let them be. It's just like a fight between masters. Once they start fighting, they will show their flaws. I'm not afraid. It's hard to say who will win. Yang Cheng touched the woman's smooth face, stood up, and turned to hug Tang Wan tightly. Do you want to stay with you in Beijing for a few days? You came back so suddenly. The bride must hate you. I think you should go back tomorrow morning. Tang Wan also knew that Lin Ruoxi had returned to Zhonghai. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly in his heart. It wasn't as simple as her hating him. This time, she didn't even give him a chance to explain. You're still considerate of me at a time like this. You're really good at inviting a wife, Yang Cheng said jokingly. Uft. Tang Wan rolled her eyes at him. I'm not just inviting a wife. In the eyes of some people in Beijing, I'm a traitor. Who dares to say that about my Xiao Wan? I'll kill them right now, Yang Cheng said righteously. Tang Wan chuckled. She finally smiled and said gently, It's good to have someone to rely on at a time like this. Thank you for not going back to Zhonghai immediately. Yang Cheng patted the woman's back with one hand, while his other hand was on Tang Wan's plump buttocks. He really enjoyed the feeling. Although I'm a bit lecherous, I still have a conscience. It's just that sometimes I can't take care of it, Yang Cheng said with a chuckle. Tang Wan felt her, but being needed continuously. Finally, her face turned a little red. She raised her head with her almond-shaped eyes and pecked Yang Cheng's lips. I want to make love. If he wasn't so close, Yang Cheng would have suspected that there was something wrong with his ears. After being stunned for a while, Yang Cheng took a deep breath. How did you become so direct? But I have a request. What? After we're done, I want to return to Zhonghai happily. Tang Wan smiled gently. Yang Cheng didn't answer. Instead, he unceremoniously tore open the collar of the woman's chest. When a few buttons were broken and fell, Tang Wan cried out in surprise and said with a blushing face, Don't be so rough. Ooh. Without waiting for her to finish, Yang Cheng had already fiercely kissed the woman's beautiful red lips. As their lips and tongues intertwined, a fiery passion burst forth. Yang Cheng forcefully sucked and pecked at the soft, sweet, lilac tongue. In the midst of a hot kiss that almost suffocated Tang Wan, Yang Cheng tore open Tang Wan's underwear. More than half of her trousers were torn apart, leaving behind a purplish-red lace underwear. When their lips parted, Yang Cheng had already pressed the woman down in front of the coffee table in the living room that was covered with carpets. Letting the woman lie on the coffee table, Yang Cheng pressed his entire body down from behind, panting and spitting out hot air. If you weren't so rough, how would you be happy to return to Zhonghai tomorrow? Tang Wan was already in a daze due to the lack of oxygen. She only felt a scorching impact from the tunnel beneath her body. She couldn't think of anything else, and subconsciously let out a soft moan that went deep into her bones. Chapter 987. The next morning, when Tang Wan and Yang Cheng returned to Zhonghai, they looked much better. Before they left, Li Dun invited Yang Cheng to come back to Yanjing to attend his wedding with Tang Xian. Li Mo's Hen, Li Yunpeng, and the other elders of the Li family couldn't do anything about this guy who had his eyes set on Tang Xian. In fact, Yang Cheng also found it strange. The baby in Tang Xian's belly was Yin Buin's, but the Li family didn't seem to ask for an abortion. As a wealthy family, they were willing to allow the first child of their only descendant to be an outsider. This was indeed strange. Lin Ruoxi's phone still couldn't get through, so Yang Cheng had to ask Mullen where Lin Ruoxi went after returning to Zhonghai. The reply he got was that Lin Ruoxi stayed in the office for the whole night. Yang Cheng felt a little aggrieved. It was clearly the woman who didn't pick up his call on purpose. This was something that he couldn't accommodate. Li Dun was about to die. He couldn't just leave her in the lurch just to comfort her. It was fine if she didn't understand him, but she should at least listen to his explanation. It wouldn't be too late to blame her after finding out the truth. On the way back to Zhonghai, Tang Wan noticed Yang Cheng's absent-mindedness. She wanted to say something, but it was a matter between husband and wife. She would only complicate things if she interfered, so she didn't ask. They took the same car back to Shijiao Villas. Tang Wan went home to see Tang Tang, while Yang Cheng hugged her and said goodbye. Guo Xuehua and Mother Wang both returned to Zhonghai. Since Yang Gongming didn't think she was useful, Guo Xuehua went back to Zhonghai to stay with Yang Cheng. In the afternoon, Guo Xuehua and Mother Wang were washing the dishes in the kitchen. Jin Xiu, on the other hand, had bought a pile of university reference books and was reading them with great interest. Seeing that Yang Cheng had returned, Jinxiu put down her book and said somewhat angrily, "Big brother Yang, what took you so long? Big sister Ruashi hasn't been home all night." Yang Cheng said hesitantly, "It's not like I'm the one who told her not to go home. I'm also having a headache." "Seriously, even getting married can be like this. I really admire you guys." Jinxiu curled her lips. Being taught a lesson by this little girl made Yang Cheng's head swell. He stepped forward and pinched Jinxiu's cheek. "Little girl, what do you know? If it wasn't urgent, would I have gotten into this situation?" Jinxiu pouted. "You call me little girl again." Yang Cheng didn't have time to deal with the girl's gritting teeth. Seeing Guo Shuahua and Mother Wang coming out, he said, "Mom, didn't Ruashi say when she's coming back?" Guo Shuahua and Mother Wang looked sad and worried. "You should go to the company quickly. She didn't pick up our calls. It seems like she's really angry. How many wedding nights can a woman have? If you don't fill up the hole you poke this time, it will only get bigger and bigger," Guo Shuahua advised. Mother Wang took out a multi-layered lunchbox and said, "Young master, I prepared some of Mrs.'s favorite dishes. She likes to work nonstop when she's in a bad mood. Maybe she doesn't even eat. I was going to bring it over, but now that you're back, you can bring it over. Explain it to Miss. There's no obstacle that can't be overcome." Yang Cheng didn't have much to say. It seemed like ever since he got married to Lin Ruashi, he had been constantly repairing their relationship. This made him feel tired and helpless at the same time. Who asked him to like someone without a reason? He could only accept it. At least he was quite happy most of the time, wasn't he? Half an hour later, Yang Cheng drove to the headquarters of Yulei International. He took the elevator all the way to the floor of the CEO's office. As soon as he stepped out of the elevator, he saw Zhao Hongyan walking towards him. The woman in the office uniform was holding a pile of documents. Her hair was tied up high, making her look more gentle and gentle. It seemed like she had gone through a lot of changes and was walking towards the most charming stage of a woman. Seeing Yang Cheng here, Zhao Hongyan was a little surprised. Her expression became a little strange, as if there was something she couldn't say. She smiled stiffly and said, "Why are you back so late?" "General Lin seems to have spent the night in the company. He doesn't seem to be in a good mood. I had no choice. I came back as soon as possible." Yang Cheng smiled bitterly and pointed towards the office. "Is Ruashi inside?" Zhao Hongyan pursed her lips and hesitated for a moment. "She is, but there's a guest." "Guest?" Yang Cheng was puzzled. He had just returned from the Mediterranean Sea, and there was already a guest visiting? If it was to discuss business, Lin Ruashi wouldn't have to do it herself. After all, she wasn't good at socializing. Seeing Zhao Hongyan's awkward expression, Yang Cheng couldn't help but frown. "What kind of guest is it? Do I know him?" Zhao Hongyan sighed. "Actually, I'm not sure if you know him or not, but I have a feeling that you won't like to see him. He seems to be an old acquaintance of General Lin, a man with the surname Li. He has been here for almost an hour." Yang Cheng suddenly thought of something. His expression couldn't help but turn gloomy. He nodded and said, "I understand. Thank you. You can go now." Zhao Hongyan still wanted to say something, but seeing Yang Cheng's ugly expression, she sighed and silently walked back to her office. Standing in the hallway, Yang Cheng took a deep breath. There was a hint of sharpness in his eyes. He slowly walked to the office door and knocked. After a while, Lin Ruashi's voice came from the room. "Come in." Yang Cheng opened the door and slowly walked into the room. Inside the spacious office, Lin Ruashi wasn't sitting behind her desk as usual. Instead, she was sitting on the sofa in the corner. She looked a little haggard, her features exceptionally cold and elegant. When she saw that it was Yang Cheng, her limpid eyes were filled with all sorts of complicated emotions. But what made Yang Cheng narrow his eyes was the man sitting on the sofa to the left of Lin Ruashi. Li Jianhe was dressed in a well-ironed black suit, looking as elegant as ever. Seeing that it was Yang Cheng, Li Jianhe immediately got up with a smile and bowed politely. "It's Mr. Yang. It's nice to meet you again." Yang Cheng didn't reply. He walked in front of the two and placed the lunchbox on the table. "Mother Wang prepared this for you. She was worried that you hadn't eaten, so I brought it for you." Yang Cheng said gently to Lin Ruashi, as if he didn't see Li Jianhe at all. Li Jianhe was slightly embarrassed, but he smiled and stood there quietly. Lin Ruoshi looked at the lunchbox and said, "No need, I've already eaten." Li Jianhe hurriedly added, "Yes, don't worry, Mr. Yang. I saw that Ruoshi hadn't eaten just now, so I persuaded her to go to Yulei's restaurant to eat." Yang Cheng's eyes were exceptionally cold. "You had lunch together?" Lin Ruoshi could hear the anger in his voice. She raised her head and looked straight at Yang Cheng. "That's right. We've known each other for 4 to 5 years. What's so strange about having a meal together?" Yang Cheng looked at Li Jianhe indifferently. The coldness in his eyes sent chills down Li Jianhe's spine. "Why are you here?" Yang Cheng asked. Li Jianhe smiled stiffly. "Mr. Yang, please don't misunderstand. You know that the Li family is a shareholder of BMW Group. We're planning to build a BMW cultural exhibition hall in Zhonghai next year. We'd like to collaborate with Yulei on the exhibition hall and content. That's why I'm here to talk to Ruoshi. If it's about work, you can talk to the people in the lower departments. If you see my wife, call her Mrs. Yang or General Lin. Don't call her by her name," Yang Cheng said in a low voice. Li Jianhe's face paled. He could clearly feel the hostility in Yang Cheng's eyes. "Yang Cheng," Lin Ruoshi frowned and stood up. "Why do you have to ask Senior Li to do this? Why do you have to interfere with my work?" "Because I'm already giving him a lot of face by not killing him," Yang Cheng roared as he poked Li Jianhe's forehead with all his might. Li Jianhe's legs turned to jelly as he collapsed onto the sofa. Lin Ruoshi, on the other hand, covered her chest in shock. She looked at Yang Cheng in disbelief as his face turned red. Yang Cheng's face was contorted. "You just came back to Zhonghai, and it was a sudden one at that. This bastard came to have a meal with you. What business? Who would believe that it was a coincidence?" Chapter 988. Lin Ruoshi's face was pale, her voice trembling. What do you mean by that?" "What do I mean?" Yang Cheng smirked, looking at the woman, then at Li Jianhe. "If you're not trying to get close to her on purpose, then there must be some special connection between the two of you, isn't there?" Li Jianhe smiled stiffly, standing up. "Mr. Yang, I think you've misunderstood. I really just found out that if... Oh, no. General Lin is at the company. She's here to discuss some business. Do you think I'll believe that?" Yang Cheng asked coldly. Li Jianhe stuttered, not knowing how to continue. Lin Ruoshi's eyes were glistening with tears, as though they would fall at any moment. "You suspect me." Yang Cheng didn't have the slightest hint of pity. "I saw it with my own eyes and heard it with my own ears." "Is that what you call suspecting? We only had lunch together. We're only in the middle of a deal. Do you think that's enough for you to show your ugly side?" Lin Ruoshi retorted. "You're saying I'm narrow-minded and ugly?" Yang Cheng was so angry that he laughed. He nodded and said, "Looks like I was right. You actually called your husband ugly in front of this guy? At least he doesn't scare people indiscriminately like you do, nor does he disrespect others like you do." Lin Ruoshi stared back fearlessly. Yang Cheng's fists were clenched tightly, veins popping out, like explosives ready to explode at any moment. Li Jianhe was scared out of his wits. Ever since he found out that Lin Ruoshi was married to a descendant of the Yang family, he didn't dare to harbor any ill intentions. He just wanted to use Lin Ruoshi to repair his relationship with Yang Cheng. The reason why he requested to meet Lin Ruoshi was probably because he wanted to catch up with her when Yang Cheng wasn't around so that he could get some benefits from the Yang clan. He didn't expect Yang Cheng to suddenly come back. Moreover, at this very moment, it had clearly become the fuse between husband and wife. Wasn't this his bad luck for 7 or 8 lifetimes? Seeing that Yang Cheng was about to explode, Li Jianhe hurried Shan Shan to the office door. Then, "Mr. Yang, General Lin, I'll go back first. Don't be angry. Don't be angry." Nothing good would come of staying, so of course he slipped away. However, Yang Cheng turned his head and glared at him coldly. Li Jianhe froze, unsure if he should continue to leave. Lin Ruoshi gritted her teeth. "Senior Li, just leave. He won't do anything." Li Jianhe finally felt a little more on Sheen, his body trembling as he finally left the office, closing the door carefully behind him. Soon, the faint sounds of running could be heard. It was Li Jianhe running for his life. Lin Ruoshi looked at the man's solemn expression, silently staring at him for a while, before turning back to her desk. He's already gone. If there's nothing else, please leave. I still have work to do. Yang Chen's gaze turned exceptionally gloomy. You seem to think that I won't dare to do anything. Lin Ruoshi froze, turning back to look at Yang Cheng coldly. What do you want to do? An enigmatic smile appeared on Yang Cheng's face. He walked slowly to the woman and said calmly, Ever since we met, I've always been lenient to you. As long as you want to do something, I'll do my best to satisfy you. I admit that I've done many things to make you unhappy and sad. I understand that. That's why I won't demand anything from you, and I won't force you to do anything for me. I admit that I wasn't considerate enough to run away on our wedding night. I admit that I was wrong, but I can explain myself. At least I don't think it was a mistake to save 2 people's lives. But no matter how angry you are, you should at least give me a chance to understand and explain. I know you're arrogant and don't want to bow your head. Fine, you want to return to Zhonghai early. You have your own temper and pride. I can accept that. That's why I rushed back to see you after I finished my business in Beijing. I want to explain everything to you. Lin Ruoshi's eyes flickered with anger. Is that all you want to say? Should I be grateful to you for tolerating me? Grateful to you for letting me go? No need. That's what I should do. Yang Cheng continued indifferently. I'm just curious about how your heart grows. Isn't the structure a little too complicated? It's so complicated that even you don't know what you should be like. Lin Ruoshi felt that the man's unusual calmness was a little strange. What do you mean? I don't understand. Yang Cheng shook his head. Do you really think that I can tolerate everything you do? Or do you think that I can already give in without a bottom line for you? I can accept you throwing a tantrum. I can accept you locking me out on your wedding night. I can accept you returning to Zhonghai without listening to my explanation. I can also accept you continuing the Cold War with me with cold words. At this point, Yang Cheng's eyes finally became stern. But I can't accept that you're with another man behind my back, especially a man that I can't accept as a husband. Do you think that I'm already so tolerant of you that I'm willing to wear a green hat? Or do you think that I'll never be able to raise my head in front of you? Just because I found a lover, you can rekindle your old love? Enough. Lin Ruoshi was so angry that her face turned red. Tears filled her eyes and her delicate body trembled. I won't allow you to say that about me. Huh? Why not? Yang Cheng laughed wildly. You can do such a thing, but you won't allow me to say it out loud. Lin Ruoshi, do you really think you're a fairy or a bodhisattva? Let me tell you, when I love you and dote on you, you're a treasure in my eyes. If you piss me off, even if I'm on the street, I can still strip you naked. Don't use my gentleness towards you as a sharp knife that can restrain me. Without me, you're nothing. Lin Ruoshi could no longer listen. Endless grievances and sadness mixed with pain and anger made the woman instinctively raise her hand, wanting to slap Yang Cheng's face. But how could Yang Cheng let a woman hit him? After directly grabbing Lin Ruoshi's wrist, Yang Cheng sneered. Hit me? Do you really think you can hit me? If I don't want you to touch me, don't talk about hitting me. You can't even touch my hair. You bastard. I hate you. Lin Ruoshi finally couldn't help but break down and cry. The sound of sobbing made the woman look like a helpless girl, and tears of despair kept falling. But Yang Cheng no longer had the slightest bit of pity. Instead, he was especially excited, and his eyes emitted a fanatical fire. I finally understand. So it turns out that I've been wrong all along. Looks like I care too much about you, and it makes you feel that everything is natural. Yang Cheng's body pressed down, and Lin Ruoshi was pressed down on the desk. Lin Ruoshi's waist was abnormally soft. After being tensed up, she was bent 90 degrees and tightly pressed against the desk. Her face could feel Yang Cheng's heavy breathing and scorching heat. The two of them looked at each other closely. The woman's face was filled with panic and helplessness, while man's face was filled with a wicked smile. Lin Ruoshi, let me tell you, I will not give up on any of the women I love because they are worth it, and I have to protect them. Whether it is Qiangwei or Qianni, they're all willing to give up their lives for me. Yonyan, Ning Er can suffer for me. Anxin can leave her biological father for me. Mingyu can give up everything for me, and even suffer injustice. Do you think that they are different from you? Just because they are not as good-looking as you, no one wants them? Or do you think that they can only rely on you to steal men? They were born to be despised by you without a name or a share. That's right, I forgot to tell you. Just yesterday, Tang Wan's grandfather, Tang Zhichen, betrayed us, but Tang Wan would rather choose to die with me than accept the chance her grandfather gave her to live. Only at that time would I feel that I am a man who needs to take responsibility, and not a damn coward who has to explain all those boring things to you all day long. They have done so much for me. How can you compete with them for the title of the legal wife? I actually made Ron prepare for more than half a year for a woman like you, and searched the entire world to prepare a rose rain for you. Perhaps you're right. I'm indeed a bastard, a complete bastard. Lin Ruashi's pretty face was deathly pale. She bit her red lips, and her elegant face was filled with stubborn anger as she struggled in the mud. Since you think they are so good, then don't lie on me. Go find your woman and don't waste your time with me. Lin Ruashi replied coldly, but only she knew the pain in her heart. The man's words were like the deadliest steel knife, constantly stabbing at her deepest tenderness. He could actually say such cruel words to her. Are you kidding me? I haven't done my business yet. Yang Chung suddenly lowered his head and kissed Lin Ruashi's ear, sucking away the jasmine fragrance. Lin Ruashi's delicate body trembled, and a burst of dark red quickly flowed past her ears. An unbelievable thought emerged in the woman's mind. Could it be that he was going to... Chapter 989. Without waiting for Lin Ruashi to think about it, Yang Cheng's eyes had already burst out a burning light. You're my wife that I haven't touched for almost 2 years. Since we've already arranged a wedding, we have to have sex no matter what. Lin Ruashi's red eyes were filled with panic and loss. Yang Chung, you don't mess around, mess around? Yang Chung grinned and said, how can it be called messing around when a husband and wife is intimate? You're not that kind of person, you're not. Lin Ruashi begged, don't do such a terrible thing, okay? You can't do that to me. Lin Ruashi clearly felt that between Yang Cheng's legs, a majestic hardness had already collided between her thighs. That kind of boiling heat, even through the pants, could deeply feel the power contained in it. This kind of crazy male hormones made Lin Ruashi both shy and afraid. Yang Chung didn't care so much. His hot lips began to kiss the woman's forehead, cheeks, and ears. From time to time, his lips and tongue would intertwine with Lin Ruashi's red lips. This kind of delicate teasing made Lin Ruashi extremely breathless, and she started to speak incoherently. Don't. Yang Chung, don't do this. You're so fragrant. Yang Chung seemed to be talking in his sleep. The fragrance of the woman under him, and the greed and love that erupted after being suppressed for too long, made him unable to extricate himself. After imprisoning the woman under him, a pair of hands began to move from Lin Ruashi's waist, along the curve of the waist in 2 different ways. One hand climbed up a peak, and the other hand slid down to the woman's beautiful buttocks. The deep-collared uniform suit made it easy for Yang Cheng's hand to explore the snow-white skin. After easily unbuttoning a button on the chest, the bright and clean shirt was pulled open. Yang Cheng's hand easily grasped a lump of plump and supple flesh. That kind of silky, smooth touch felt as if there was nothing in his hand, yet it was so full. The moment he touched a tiny acacia bean, he could feel the female body beneath him trembling. Lin Ruashi was exceptionally sensitive. She unconsciously let out a teasing moan from her throat. That kind of deep, throbbing female voice was enough to make any man go crazy. The flames in Yang Cheng's eyes burned even brighter, as if he wanted to devour the woman beneath him. Lin Ruashi could feel the rhythm of her nerves. The man's continuous attacks on her made her weakly give up resisting. In the gradual blurriness, 2 lines of tears fell from the corners of Lin Ruashi's eyes, but she didn't notice it herself, because all her energy had been attracted by the sensitive, special feeling. Lin Ruashi was a little ashamed to feel a trace of coolness starting to spread between her legs. This rude and aggrieved man actually made her so disappointing that she instinctively cooperated with him. Lin Ruoshi was annoyed, but more than that, she had the mentality of compromising. It had been almost 2 years. Perhaps she should have given it to him long ago. Forget it. Who asked this man to be her husband? Being bullied by him like this, perhaps it was also fate. However, he actually dared to do this to her in the office. She must not easily forgive him. Lin Ruoshi's brain could no longer continue thinking because Yang Cheng's right hand had already pulled her short skirt down her knees. His lower body was suddenly empty, and two plump but not much round and beautiful legs were intertwined and rubbing against each other. Oh, the two of them continued to kiss passionately. Yang Cheng had already bitten the woman's small tongue and continuously sucked the sweet juice. At the same time, one of Yang Cheng's hands tyrannically squeezed open the gap between her legs. When he touched a large wet area along the inside of her thighs, Yang Cheng's hands started to knead even more absurdly. Lin Ruoshi only felt a burst of hot blood crazily rushing through her cheeks. That extremely private part was constantly teased by the man, and the frequency of her delicate body trembling became faster and faster. And what followed closely was even more spring water. Lin Ruoshi never knew that she could be so out of control. She, who was extremely bashful, was already sobbing in the wet kiss. Yang Cheng finally loosened his tongue and grinned evilly. I really didn't expect that my baby wife would actually be this sensitive. Your lower part is almost like a waterfall. Lin Ruoshi turned her head away and bit her thin lips. Her long eyelashes trembled, not daring to listen, much less look at the man. Yang Cheng sucked hard on the woman's fiery face, only to feel that it was full of elasticity. The first time I did it with you, I couldn't maintain my rationality even after drinking. I don't know what it felt like that night. I think you're the same. Today, you have to be more sober. I want you to completely understand that angering me is definitely a painful and happy thing. Lin Ruoshi couldn't understand what he meant because the current situation had directly short-circuited her brain. Yang Cheng's hand had unknowingly pulled the shirt in front of her chest open. The black thin lace edge, the sexy deep bra, was also directly pulled down. A pair of snow-white, jade-like breasts that had been tied up swayed. The glaring whiteness made Yang Cheng deeply intoxicated. Perhaps it was because of her clothes and position. The woman hid her fullness extremely well. If he didn't feel it at such a close distance, he definitely wouldn't have received such a strong impact. Yang Cheng gently covered it with one hand, but he was unable to grasp it completely. Involuntarily, Yang Cheng buried his face deep into the red beans after gently fiddling with them. He took a deep breath of the fragrant woman's fragrance, and the crowded softness made Yang Cheng's face unable to help but rub it. Lin Ruoshi panted. Her entire body was as soft as a pool of soft water. Her entire body was covered in red and pink, and her eyes seemed to ripple. All the coldness and anger from before, under the man's constant manipulation, turned into a flirtatious and seductive state. Perhaps the love in her heart for men made her unable to resist such intimate contact. Lin Ruoshi unconsciously began to fall into everything. Yang Cheng paced back and forth in front of the beautiful scenery for a long time, and finally tore off the woman's completely wet underwear. The limp Lin Ruoshi was unable to cooperate at all. After the man separated her slender and soft thighs, a pair of underwear fell onto the red high heels, but she couldn't care less. In the blink of an eye, the woman's upper body was only covered with a loose jacket and shirt, and her lower body was empty. All the beautiful scenery of the peach garden and the patter of water stains could be seen at a glance. After Yang Cheng untied the restraints on his lower body, he released the long spear that could no longer be controlled. Holding onto Lin Ruoshi's slender waist, Yang Cheng threw himself onto the woman's body. Lin Ruoshi's back was tightly pressed against the spacious office table. The coldness of her lower body and the heat of the man on top of her made her feel even more stimulated. The air was filled with the familiar yet indulgent scent of the two of them. Yang Cheng's dragon horn began to rub between Lin Ruoshi's legs. The smooth liquid made Lin Ruoshi feel the man's terrifying size even more closely, Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. There was a trace of fear in her blurry eyes. The woman used a soft, pleading tone and murmured, "Hubby, I'm scared." Yang Chung breathed heavily. The beauty's perfect body below him was already driving him crazy. If it wasn't for that moment of brewing his emotions, he would have already wreaked havoc. Hearing that the woman finally began to soften and be scared, Yang Chung didn't have any intention of stopping. The arrow on the bow had to be released. I said, "You will suffer, but you will also be happy." Before Lin Ruoshi could react, Yang Cheng's waist suddenly rushed up. When a fire dragon drilled into the narrow path that was already filled with honey, it brought with it a soul-stirring tremor that went straight to the top of the two's heads. Oh, Yang Chung sighed in extreme enjoyment. It sounded almost at the same time as Lin Ruoshi's suppressed low moans because of the tearing pain. When Yang Cheng's entire clone entered the woman's body, the tears in the corner of Lin Ruoshi's eyes flowed even more freely. A strange feeling of being penetrated made Lin Ruoshi feel pain, but at the same time, it gave her a strong sense of fulfillment. And Yang Chung, who tightly held the woman and rushed to the bottom, was infinitely satisfied. This was not only a release of the body, but also a burden that had always been on the mind. No matter what the cause was, no matter what the process was, no matter what happened between the two of them, at the very least, he had finally joined together with the woman beneath him. After all, Lin Ruoshi hadn't had any sexual contact for more than a year. Even though the tunnel was smooth, it still seemed incomparably tight when he suddenly and intensely went deep. Just when Yang Qing noticed that Lin Ruoshi looked to be in pain and frowned, he felt a little pity in his heart. Another strange feeling came from the joint of the two of them. Yang Chung could clearly feel that his life root was actually wrapped by some special squirming in that warm world. Yang Chung couldn't help but shiver. Looking at the pitiful woman below him, who seemed to be unconscious and was looking at him with tears, Yang Chung couldn't help but hug Lin Ruoshi's face again and kiss it hard. "Darling Ruoshi, so you have this kind of unique skill. Is this your instinct or is it on purpose? You can even give me a massage in here?" Chapter 990. Lin Ruoshi was already stunned. It was as if all her strength had disappeared at this time. Her soft body was at the mercy of Yang Chung. Yang Chung looked at Lin Ruoshi, who was pouting and full of resentment. How could she do this consciously? It was clearly a woman's instinct to provide such a service. Yang Chung couldn't help but grin. This was a natural stunner. She was charming to the bone. Only when he entered her graceful body could he experience this kind of ecstasy. Without any experience, she could make him feel like he was sitting on the clouds. He just entered and moved a few times, and it was already so comfortable. Even though Yang Chun had a huge amount of experience in this area, he had never enjoyed such a sumptuous feast before. At this time, Yang Chun didn't have the mood to stop. As his waist swayed back and forth, the frequency began to increase. Lin Ruoshi just had a chance to breathe. When Yang Chung moved, the woman's fragrant soul almost flew out. This kind of surging impact that stirred up the soul and stimulated every cell in the body made Lin Ruoshi unable to extricate herself and let out an instinctive and shameful moan. Be gentle. It hurts, but Yang Chung didn't care so much. Every time he entered and exited, he could feel the special treatment that Lin Ruoshi's mysterious zone, the passage that he never got tired of, gave him. This kind of feeling of wrapping all the sensitive parts and giving you gentle and delicate care really fascinated Yang Chung. Gradually, Yang Cheng's speed became faster and faster. When Lin Ruoshi gave up stopping and began to fall into a kind of confusion, Yang Chung was no longer satisfied with the position of face-to-face. The woman's soft and well-proportioned body was directly turned over by Yang Chung, and Lin Ruoshi fell on the desk. Yang Chung grabbed his wife's pair of plump and beautiful legs and began to wreak havoc. After all, it was not the first time. It was only because he had not experienced it for a long time that he felt pain at the beginning. After adapting to Yang Cheng's size, Lin Ruoshi finally experienced pure pleasure after more than 10 minutes. feeling the man's majestic and domineering heat continuously entering and exiting her peach. Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but turn her head to look at Yang Cheng's expression. When she discovered that Yang Cheng was looking at her with an extremely intoxicated look, Lin Ruoshi felt as if she had eaten honey in her heart. Although it was their first real union, the two of them entered the state surprisingly quickly. She would indeed blush and be shy, but when Yang Cheng needed to grab her body and cooperate, Lin Ruoshi didn't find it difficult to accept. Perhaps it was because they had been together for almost 2 years, and they had a lot of intimate contact on a daily basis. When the conditions were right, everything seemed to be very natural. Unknowingly, the two of them had moved from the desk to the floor-to-ceiling window on the side. Although they were in an extremely high position in the city, under normal circumstances, no one could see what was happening here unless they used binoculars, but Yang Cheng still divided a bit of his attention to check if it was hidden. When he was sure that no one would see here and take advantage of his woman, Yang Cheng then bravely pressed Lin Ruoshi against the thick-tempered glass. Lin Ruoshi tightly wrapped her arms around Yang Cheng's neck, and her two slender and elastic legs were clamped around the man's waist. After instinctively cooperating with Yang Cheng, even she felt unbearably shy. Because the floor-to-ceiling window was designed to be oval, from her point of view, she could see the sky outside and the tall buildings outside. In this way, it was like doing such an indulgent thing in the face of the city in broad daylight. A trace of coldness flowed through the exposed white buttocks. Because it was wet, it was particularly cold. The rich flow of water constantly dripped onto the wooden board on the ground. Not long after, there were several puddles on the ground. Realizing that all this was happening, such stimulation made Lin Ruoshi unable to extricate herself from the deep struggle in her heart. And Yang Cheng's high-spirited body continuously sank to the bottom, as if he was using the steel gun to push the woman up, making Lin Ruoshi's whole body tremble every time. This kind of tireless and unlimited physical strength was not something ordinary couples would have, and ordinary women naturally couldn't experience. For the first time, Lin Ruoshi clearly experienced it. Only then did she realize how much a woman loved and hated this kind of thing. Yang Cheng was like a crazy bull with no end to his stamina, causing her to fly into the sky again and again to release her climax. Her lower body tightened and trembled, but she still had no intention of giving up. The first 3 or 4 times at the peak made Lin Ruoshi enjoy it so much that she wanted to melt into the man's body. However, when she realized that the man still wanted more, Lin Ruoshi felt a sense of fear. Lin Ruoshi felt that her lower body was gradually becoming numb. She even suspected that her private parts had already swollen up. Hubby, stop. Rest for a while, Lin Ruoshi pleaded. Yang Cheng's face was filled with excitement. To him, this little bit of physical strength was the same as doing nothing at all. It's only been an hour, at least another hour. Darling Ruoshi, so you still have this divine weapon in your body. It's so tight that I'm about to fly into the sky. Hiss. Oh, Lin Ruoshi was about to faint. She had already lost all feeling, but because of this, it was probably because it was especially tight after the swelling, making Yang Cheng feel even more comfortable. After all, she had met with sweet dew after a long drought. If she had this kind of training normally, she would have been able to endure it, but suddenly, it was as fierce as a flood. How could she withstand it? Please, hubby, I can't take it anymore. Lin Ruoshi whimpered. Her hair was in a mess, and her head was covered in sweat. Her black hair was wet and stuck to it. With her flushed face and shy appearance, how could she still have the demeanor of a female CEO? Yang Cheng looked at the woman who had completely given in with extreme satisfaction and forcefully slapped the woman's butt. Huh! Her bouncy buttocks even bounced a few times. Lin Ruoshi's pretty face was tender and alluring, as if she was a fairy that had descended to the mortal world, causing people to be dazzled. You always want to kick other women away, but with your performance, even an hour is tight. Other people can last for more than 2 hours. How can you compete with other people? Yang Cheng said with a naughty smile. Lin Ruoshi pouted, as if she had become a pink bun. How can you mention other women at this time? Huh. Yang Chung slapped the other half of the woman's butt, causing Lin Ruoshi to cry out in alarm. How impudent. Who do I need to ask for your permission? This is the truth. I've been working until now, and I haven't even completed my first shot, and you already say that you can't do it. With your current state, you still hope to have children in the future? Lin Ruoshi felt wronged, thinking that this was not her problem. Yang Chung grinned as he placed Lin Ruoshi on the desk and pinched the woman's face. However, Ruoshi baby, you're still very outstanding. At least you make me feel more comfortable than other women. Yang Chung laughed. In the future, listen to your husband obediently. Don't challenge my temper. You are my woman, so you are not allowed to see the man I hate. I am such an unreasonable person. You can call me overbearing or shameless, but you are my woman, so you have to listen to me. If you don't agree, that's fine, but no one can save you. In the end, you will be the one begging for mercy from me. Don't look at me so pitifully. Who told those idiots to not be able to beat me? Lin Ruoshi wanted to cry, but no tears came out. This man was no longer thick-skinned. He had no intention of being shameless. You are a tyrant. That doesn't matter. As long as you are willing, you can call me whatever you want. Anyway, I have thought it through today. I will endure you. You are my wife. Even if I suppress you, you are still my wife. And instead of me living a sullen life, I might as well let others suffer. Yang Chung pinched Lin Ruoshi's chin and pecked her tender red lips. Lin Ruoshi was already like an obedient Barbie doll. After giving everything to the man, she did not have any thoughts of refusing. My bride, rest for a while. Let's continue for another hour. At least let me finish one shot. Yang Chung blinked. Lin Ruoshi was already powerless to resist. She pouted and said, I don't feel anything there anymore. It must be swollen. This pitiful look was clearly telling Yang Chung to let her go. However, how could Yang Chung do as the woman wished? He smiled indifferently and said, That's a small matter. Have you forgotten that I'm the best at healing wounds? Come, let me touch you. I'll help you reduce the swelling inside and outside. Lin Ruoshi opened her watery eyes wide. Without waiting for her to stop him, Yang Cheng's hand had already firmly grabbed onto the sacred ground. Lin Ruoshi's entire body quivered, and she completely fell onto Yang Cheng's body. Her legs straightened, and she began to tremble, being teased by a man's hand on her most private part. Lin Ruoshi once again lost everything. After Yang Chung eliminated all the discomfort of the woman, what followed was naturally a new round of waves. The entire office was filled with a thick sense of spring. After more than an hour, Yang Cheng's boiling essence was injected into a peaceful place. Lin Ruoshi was already on the verge of collapse as she squinted her beautiful eyes. Her delicate body trembled as she fell into a deep sleep. Only then did Yang Chung reveal a gentle smile and satisfaction. He held the woman in his arms and gently kissed his wife's forehead. Chapter 991. Perhaps it was because she hadn't had a good rest for the past 2 days, coupled with the intense exercise. Lin Ruoshi had been lying on the soft leather sofa in her office, sleeping until the evening. Zhao Hongyan came to look for her once, but Yang Chung told her he was sleeping. She didn't think much of it, leaving the documents she needed to deal with on Lin Ruoshi's desk before leaving quietly. Lin Ruoshi's clothes had already been put back on. When she woke up, she looked around in a daze, but when she saw Yang Chung sitting on her chair using her computer, she suddenly remembered what had happened. The woman blushed at the thought of her debauchery in the afternoon, cursing herself for being so embarrassing. What was going on? Lin Ruoshi didn't think that it was a bad thing, regardless of whether it was done out of her own free will or willingly. After all, she had taken the initiative to sleep with him before, but after Yang Chung insisted on a wedding, the process was a little complicated, but it was still in the planning stage. The man's method and location did drive her crazy, but when she thought about it carefully, it was inconsiderate to have dinner alone with Li Jianhe right after their wedding. Who asked her husband to be a big bad guy, full of violent factors? Sitting on the sofa for a while, seeing Yang Chung staring at the computer screen without looking at her, Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but be curious about what the man was doing. Putting on her shoes, she slowly walked to Yang Cheng's side. When she saw the image on the computer screen, Lin Ruoshi was immediately furious. "Who told you to use my computer to play games?" Lin Ruoshi said angrily. At that moment, Yang Cheng was using her office computer to play a competitive battle game. Because of his computer-precise skills, coupled with his meticulous control, the hero Yang Cheng controlled was especially flirtatious. Amidst the dazzling collisions of skills, Yang Cheng continuously beheaded players. The 5 players on the other side were already cursing loudly, thinking that Yang Cheng was using cheats. However, Yang Cheng ignored them and continued to kill. Hearing Lin Ruoshi's voice, Yang Cheng glanced at her and then immediately returned to his game excitedly. "What are you making a fuss about? You usually just work and read some documents. Why did you have to buy such a high-end computer? I can only use it to play games." Yang Cheng chuckled. "That brat Yuan Yi is quite sensible, knowing to recommend a new game to me." Lin Ruoshi gritted her teeth, turned around, and turned off the power button on the floor. "Hey!" Yang Cheng shouted, but it was too late. The computer had already been turned off. Yang Cheng suddenly looked depressed and said, "Honey, what are you doing? I'm considered to have skipped the competition midway. I'll have my points deducted, and I'll have a bad record. You're so competitive in a game. You don't even feel anything when you kill people and break the law." Lin Ruoshi coldly snorted. "How can this be the same? Playing games is related to a man's dignity. If I'm like this, they'll think that I'm afraid of running away." Yang Cheng said seriously, "Do you want to open a game company for you? You can make your own games and play by yourself." Yang Cheng did seem to be interested. "This suggestion is not bad. I can consider it." Lin Ruoshi's face was still red. Seeing that Yang Cheng didn't seem to have any intention of mentioning what happened just now, she finally couldn't help but ask in a low voice, "Don't you have anything to say to me?" Yang Cheng was at a loss. "What do I want to say to you? You owe." Yang Cheng slapped his forehead and looked out the window. It was already dark and full of bright lights. "Yes, it's late. You should be hungry. Let's go eat dinner. I called Mother Wong. We'll eat out tonight." Lin Ruoshi felt a little disappointed and a little anxious at the same time. She pretended to be calm and said, "Are you laughing at me in your heart?" "Laughing at me? Why?" Yang Cheng showed a trace of surprise. Lin Ruoshi pursed her thin lips. "Do you think I'm very what?" Yang Cheng asked. "It's..." Lin Ruoshi took a deep breath and said, "You think I'm very slutty. I didn't want to let you before, but it became like that again." Her voice became softer and softer, and the woman's face was so red that it could drip juice. She shyly lowered her head, and her hair covered her face. Yang Cheng was slightly stunned, and then smiled embarrassedly. A little. Lin Ruoshi suddenly looked up and couldn't care less about being shy. "Don't talk about me like that. It's all your fault. Do you know how scary you were just now? How could I resist?" Yang Cheng hurriedly stopped the woman's words and said with a bitter smile, "I'm not done yet. Although someone was a little bold just now, as a husband, I like it very much, and it's not something that immoral. You're happy, I'm happy, and it's also perfectly justifiable. Is it worth it?" When Lin Ruoshi heard that, she thought that it was right. It was only the first time she did something that a husband and wife would do, so there was nothing to be ashamed of. Perhaps those vixens were 100 times more flirtatious. Lin Ruoshi thought sourly and didn't feel so ashamed anymore. Yang Cheng tried to hold back his laughter. Actually, he had already expected that Lin Ruoshi would definitely be embarrassed about what happened just now with her thin skin. Pretending to be especially casual like this, the woman wouldn't be too embarrassed, and she would be able to walk out of it quickly. "If there's no problem, let's go eat." Yang Cheng reluctantly looked at the computer that was turned off and wondered if he should get a high-end computer at home. Lin Ruoshi untied the knot in her heart and calmly smiled and touched her hair. "My hair is messy. Wait for a moment." Because she basically didn't need to put on makeup, she only needed to tidy up a little before she could go out. After letting go of her waterfall-like long hair, she simply tied it up. This seemingly ordinary action, for some reason, At this moment, it was done with a bit more gentleness and beauty than usual. Yang Cheng was slightly dazed, only feeling that at this moment, the languid charm that the woman emitted was so breathtaking. When Lin Ruoxi finished tidying up her appearance, she realized that Yang Cheng was looking at her with a particularly infatuated gaze. At the same time, she felt a little sweet in her heart and said with some amusement, "Why is it as if you're seeing it for the first time? Is it strange?" "It's very strange. How can a married woman become more and more beautiful, and I can't get tired of looking at her?" Yang Cheng scared and sighed. "Ms. Lin Ruoxi, you can't do this. If people outside see you, Yulei's cosmetics will all be unable to sell, and their confidence will be directly destroyed. How can they still have the energy to put on makeup?" Glib tongue. Lin Ruoxi rolled her eyes at him, picked up her bag, and walked out first. Because it was already time to get off work, the two went downstairs together, and on the way out of the company, they almost didn't meet anyone. Sitting directly in Yang Cheng's BMW X6, listening to the evening radio program, the two of them were in a rare relaxed mood, like a young couple in an ordinary family after work. After arriving near the gourmet street, after parking the car, the two of them held hands, shopping while looking for a suitable restaurant. Originally, Lin Ruoxi didn't like lively places, but after walking the streets with Yang Cheng a few times, she gradually got used to it. Moreover, her mood had improved, and she was also a lot more cheerful. After receiving the nourishment of love dew, the woman walking on the street had fused her original elegant and refined appearance with her current bright and gentle appearance, making her exceptionally resplendent and moving. Countless gazes swept over the two of them. If it wasn't for the fact that Lin Ruoxi was used to being the center of attention in the crowd, it would have been difficult for her to even walk. When passing by a dumpling restaurant, Yang Cheng stopped and suddenly asked, "Ruoxi, is the dumpling doll I gave you still there?" Lin Ruoxi immediately nodded a little awkwardly. "Yes. Oh, I thought that when you were angry at me, you would vent your anger on the doll I gave you." "It seems like I'm too narrow-minded," Yang Cheng said embarrassedly. Lin Ruoxi thought to herself, "I didn't really vent my anger. I just let that doll be kicked by me every day." Of course, Lin Ruoxi wouldn't say it out loud. At the same time, she started a plan in her heart. After returning home today, she had to tidy up the room, but she had so many things, especially the various dolls and cute little things that she had collected. How could she bear to take them away? As they walked, Lin Ruoxi wondered if she should tidy up a new bedroom. After all, if nothing unexpected happened in the future, they would have to sleep together, thinking about it. Lin Ruoxi's face started to heat up. What was wrong with her? Why did she always think about sleeping with a man? Just as the woman was lost in her thoughts and didn't know where she was going, she suddenly heard a delicate, crisp voice shouting from behind, "Mom." Chapter 992. Lin Ruoxi's delicate body trembled. All of her thoughts stopped for a short period of time, and then a burst of joy suddenly surged. She hurriedly turned around and looked at the little girl in the blue dress who was running over happily. "Lon Lon." Yang Cheng only felt that Lin Ruoxi suddenly took her hand away from his palm. When he turned around, the woman had already bent down, opened her arms, and hugged a familiar and cute little girl. "Mom," Lon Lon called out again in a childish voice. The girl was wearing a blue dress as usual, but the difference was that as the temperature dropped, the girl was wearing white cotton socks and red leather shoes. Her black hair was loose, setting off her snow-white skin. Her big black eyes were filled with happiness after seeing Lin Ruoxi. After Lin Ruoxi picked up the girl, she very naturally kissed the girl on the cheek, only to smell the sweet smell of a child's milk. "Lon Lon, why are you here? Mommy misses you so much." Lin Ruoxi had always been worried about Lon Lon, who was taken away by that grandfather, but she had no way of finding her. She didn't expect the girl to magically appear in front of her. Lon Lon hugged Lin Ruoxi's neck and pouted. It was grandfather who asked Lon Lon and the nanny to come here, so that Lon Lon could find her mother. "Your grandfather?" Lin Ruoxi was stunned. Didn't that strange middle-aged man not allow her to adopt Lon Lon? The nanny, Min Wan, who followed them, was panting as if catching up to Lon Lon was a very strenuous task. What made the passersby look at was that Min Wan was also helping to carry a large travel bag. No one knew what was inside, but it was indeed eye-catching to carry such a bag on the street. Seeing Lin Ruoshi and Yang Cheng, Min Wan smiled a little embarrassedly. "Miss Lin, we meet again." Master suddenly said that he was going out for a period of time, and he didn't know when he would be back. Before he left, he brought me and Lon Lon here and said that you guys would stay here and let Lon Lon stay by your side for this period of time. I brought my and Lon Lan's clothes with me. She pointed at her big bag as she spoke. Lin Ruoshi became more and more curious. What was going on? As for Yang Cheng, who had been watching this scene, he finally couldn't help but say, "Ruoshi, darling, you've never been pregnant. What kind of mother are you?" Lin Ruoshi's face turned red, and she glanced left and right to confirm that no passersby nearby heard, then said, "What nonsense are you talking about? I like Lon Lon, so what's wrong with Lon Lon calling me mother? She's a pitiful child, so do you have any sympathy for her?" "I do have sympathy, but if this child calls you mother, then wouldn't I be your father?" Yang Cheng said in a dilemma. "This child is like a small cannonball. Strange. I'm worried that trouble will follow." Previously, in order to test her, Yang Cheng had seen Lanlin's terrifying explosive power. Although the girl was indeed very obedient to Lin Ruoshi, what kind of background did such a magical girl have? This made Yang Cheng very worried. But when Lin Ruoshi heard that Lon Lon would be handed over to her, she was already extremely happy. How could she care so much? She lightly snorted and said, "Even if there's trouble, isn't there still you? If you can't even protect your own wife and daughter, then that's too shameful." "What a joke. How could I wait? That's not right. You're my wife, but I didn't say that this child is my daughter." Yang Cheng grabbed his hair. "I'm clean as ice and clean as jade. I keep my chastity like jade. Don't slander me." Lin Ruoshi rolled her eyes, not wanting to pay attention to this rascal. "Bad uncle, you're shameless." Lon Lon pouted and hugged Lin Ruoshi's pink neck as she muttered. Because she was previously controlled by Yang Cheng, the little girl knew that she couldn't beat Yang Cheng in a fight, so she could only provoke this bad uncle with words. Yang Cheng was just about to raise his fist when he saw Lin Ruoshi's bone-chilling glare, as if she was deeply protective of her child. She was very serious, causing Yang Cheng to immediately lose his temper. The ruthlessness from before in the afternoon was also caused by his anger. Now that he had calmed down, in front of his wife, Yang Cheng still couldn't muster up any courage. He was afraid that this was the end of his life. "All right, consider it my bad luck to meet such a little devil." Yang Cheng curled his lips and called out to the smiling Min Wan, "Since you're here, come eat dinner with us." Min Wan thought that this capable man turned out to be a henpecked man. She wanted to laugh out loud, but she held it in. Subsequently, under Lanlin's request, the four of them entered a northern snack restaurant. After sitting down, the waiter naturally passed the menu to Lin Ruoshi. It seemed that because he had seen many customers, he was quite discerning and knew which one could make the decision. Lin Ruoshi didn't refuse. She took the menu and scanned it a few times. Considering how big Lanlin's belly was, and Yang Cheng was a foodie, she directly said to the waiter, "Give me the most frequently ordered snacks here, a total of 20 different types." The waiter, who was holding a pen to take notes, almost dropped his jaw when he heard this. He carefully looked at the woman in front of him, who was much more beautiful than any superstar, and found that Lin Ruoshi was very serious. He couldn't help but ask, "Miss, do you really order this much?" Lin Ruoshi knitted her brows. "Of course. I'm afraid it's not worth it. It's very expensive, and it's a waste of food." The waiter kindly persuaded. Lin Ruoshi wasn't someone who liked to waste time. She directly said, "Can I pay first before you serve the dishes?" The waiter was instantly speechless. He hurriedly shook his head and ran away as if he was frightened. He seemed to have said a few words to the restaurant's manager, and after the manager nodded in agreement, they settled the order. Not long after a table full of food was served, under the shocked gazes of the surrounding customers, Yang Cheng and Lon Lon began to eat and drink. Yang Cheng's manner of wolfing down the food was not refined at all. He ate a bun and 3 to 4 wontons in one bite. As for Lon Lon, it was as if she was worried that someone would steal her food. Every time she finished a bowl, she would even finish the dumpling soup. At the same time, she would lick her lips with her tender little tongue. It was quite cute, but at the same time, it was hard to believe that after eating that big bowl of food, the little girl did not show any signs of being full. Seeing the two gluttons, one big and one small, sweep the table like crazy, Lin Ruashi and the nanny Min one did not show too much surprise. After all, they were well aware of the strength of these two people. Lin Ruashi looked at the way the two of them ate and the way they enjoyed themselves after eating. She felt that they were quite similar, only the difference in size was a little big. However, Lin Ruashi herself did not have such a big appetite. After eating a third of a bowl of lamb stew, she lost her appetite. Yang Chung saw Lin Ruashi put down her spoon and could not help but chew while opening his mouth. "Wife, this is a waste. You will be punished by the heavens." Lin Ruashi rolled her eyes at him. "Eat your food. Why do you care so much?" "Mom, you can't waste it," Grandpa said, hoeing at noon, sweat dripping into the soil. Lon Lon even quoted an ancient poem to persuade her. Lin Ruashi blushed a little. How could she be taught a lesson by her little daughter? She looked at the stew and mutton in the bowl with a troubled expression. "But Mom really can't eat anymore." "Say it earlier. I'll eat it." Yang Chung happily took Lin Ruashi's bowl and finished the rest of the stew in a few scoops. For the first time, Lon Lon giggled at Yang Chung. "Bad uncle is a good child." Yang Chung winked at the little girl, suddenly feeling that this little girl with a bright smile was quite similar to him. Of course, perhaps it was because they were both big eaters. Under the silent gaze of many people, a large table of food was wiped clean. This made the waiters a little unable to bear it, and they looked at the two of them with incomparable admiration. Lin Ruashi ordered some orange juice and gave it to Lon Lon to drink. Seeing her daughter's satisfied expression, she felt especially happy in her heart. "Lon Lon, did your grandfather say anything else before he left?" Lin Ruashi was afraid that the man would come back and take Lon Lon away, so she had to ask. Lon Lon tilted her head and thought for a while, but still shook her head. "Grandpa just let Lon Lon be with Mom." A strange look flashed across Yang Cheng's eyes, and he asked, "Ruashi, have you seen Lamlin's grandfather?" Lin Ruashi nodded and repeated the previous time, when Lamlin's grandfather suddenly appeared and took Lon Lon away. At that time, he said that if I want to adopt Lon Lon, I must separate from you and divorce you. Now, he suddenly sent Lon Lon over. I really don't understand. Lin Ruashi frowned. Min Wan, who was at the side, saw that both husband and wife were full of doubts, and couldn't help but whisper with a smile, "Mr. Yang, Miss Lin, actually, Master told me to say something." Chapter 993. Lin Ruashi gently said, "Min Wan, if you have anything to say, just say it. Don't be so reserved." Min Wan smiled gratefully. She thought to herself that such a rich family could treat a little nanny from a mountain village so peacefully. The old master had indeed chosen the right person. When a master left, he was in a hurry, but he said that if he didn't come back within a month, then Lon Lon would be completely raised by the two of you. In the future, he would no longer ask about Lamlin's matters, and Lon Lon would truly be Miss Lin's daughter. "Really?" Lin Ruashi's face lit up, but then she asked with a strange expression, could it be that Lamlin's grandfather went to do something dangerous? Min Wan shook her head helplessly. "I don't know about that. I can't ask too much about the master's matters." Yang Qing looked at Lin Ruashi's excited face and couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. It seemed that this woman was worried that Lamlin's grandfather would not come back. However, it was hard for Yang Cheng to understand why Lin Ruashi valued this little girl so much and treated her as her own. Even if he liked children's personalities, this was too much. Lon Lon, on the other hand, was drinking her orange juice and listening to the adults talking. She didn't interrupt and kept sucking on the juice with her cheeks puffed up. She finished the big glass in no time and didn't care about anything else. Lin Ruashi touched her daughter's soft hair and felt that the more she looked at this pink and jade-carved child, the cuter she felt. She couldn't help but pinch Lanlin's little face, while Lan Lan smiled sweetly at her mother. Just as Lin Ruoshi was about to ask Lan Lan if she wanted to continue drinking and eating, the phone on the table rang. Lin Ruoshi picked it up, looked at the number, and said to Yang Cheng, "It's from home." Yang Cheng nodded. "Why did you pick up the phone and report to me?" Lin Ruoshi blushed and wondered why she told Yang Cheng, as if she was worried that the man would misunderstand. "Hello, Mom, what's wrong?" Lin Ruoshi picked up the phone. "Ruoshi, you should be with Yang Cheng." "Yes, we just finished dinner." "Mom, I have something to do. Don't talk about it." "Hurry up and come back with Yang Cheng. Huilin is back, and director Yu Shuo is here too. They have something to discuss with you." Gu Xuehua said happily. It didn't sound like a bad thing, so Lin Ruoshi agreed and told Yang Cheng about it. "Huilin is back. Is her tour over?" Yang Cheng asked. Lin Ruoshi thought for a while and said, "I think so. I remember that her tour in Japan and the US was canceled because of the public opinion in China." Yang Chen nodded in realization. He occasionally saw the news, and there were indeed a lot of reports about the maritime disputes between Japan and the US and China. At the heart of the storm, it was indeed not suitable for Huilin, who was the hot little queen of China, to hold a concert in those two places. This kind of news would only attract the public's attention. Yang Cheng didn't have the mood to care about it. There would be no result in the end, unless there was a war. If there was a war, Yang Cheng would be happy. He had a lot of weapons in his possession, and they could all be put to good use. War was the most profitable thing. As long as they didn't provoke him, he would be able to make a fortune quietly. Minwan said excitedly. Miss Huilin is the famous singer. Huilin, right?" Lin Ruoshi nodded. "Minwan, you know her too?" "Of course. I thought she looked familiar the last time I saw her, but I didn't believe it was her. After I went home, I thought about it carefully. Miss Lin is the CEO of Yulei International, and Miss Huilin is from Yulei Entertainment. I regret not asking her for an autograph. She sings so well." Minwan was so excited that her eyes were filled with tears. "Every time she sings a sad song, I always think of the days in my hometown, and I can't help but cry." Lin Ruoshi and Yang Cheng looked at each other. They didn't expect Huilin to be so influential. Even a nanny who took care of a little girl all day knew her songs, and she was such a hardcore fan. "Ask Huilin to give you an autograph when we get back. But don't make it too awkward for her. She is like family to us." Yang Cheng smiled. Minwan hurriedly nodded. Being able to see her idol from time to time was enough for her. Because of the traffic jam, it took them almost 40 minutes to reach home. When they entered the living room, they saw Guo Xuehua and Mother Wang were already chatting with director Yu Shuo. Huilin was chatting with Jinxiu, whom they hadn't seen for a while. Although the school reopened in early September, the military training started first. Jinxiu lived in Zhonghai, so she only needed to attend the training during the day and go home at night. When Yang Cheng saw the students at home, he remembered that he hadn't visited Jinxiu since the school reopened. The little girl had been handling everything by herself. As her guardian, he had to make some time to check on Jinxiu, lest Jinxiu became an honest girl who was bullied by others. Guo Xuehua and the others were surprised to see the four of them. No one expected that Lan Lan and Minwan, the nanny who had left earlier, would come back. Guo Xuehua was especially surprised. She was still in Yinjin at that time and had never seen this little girl before. She looked at Yang Cheng with suspicion. Yang Cheng shook hands with director Yu Shuo, while Lin Ruoshi nodded and greeted them. After that, they sat down. Although director Yu Shuo felt that the sudden appearance of the little girl made everyone feel strange, he didn't ask much since he was only there to talk about business. He said with a smile, "It's a little presumptuous of me to disturb you at night, but I'm a straightforward person and I don't want to miss such a good opportunity. That's why I'm here to talk about the film collaboration with you too." Yang Chan recalled that he did mention it before. It seemed like this guy was going to shoot a Xianxiao movie. As the best director in Cannes and Tokyo film festivals, Yu Shuo was like the sun in the sky. His movie would definitely receive a lot of attention. Director Yu wants Hui Er to participate in the movie. How did you know, Mr. Yang? I'm here to talk about it. Recently, I've been busy trying to find a female lead. No matter how hard I look, I can't find a more suitable actress than Miss Lin Hui. But Miss Lin Hui has been on a world tour. When she heard that her schedule in Japan and the US was canceled, she came here immediately. Miss Lin Hui said that there's no need to go through the management company. As long as the two of you agree, she can do it, Yu Shua said. Yang Cheng looked at Hui Lin and asked with a smile, "Do you like making movies?" "It's up to you." Hui Lin blinked and said hesitantly, "I don't have any professional training and I don't know how to make a movie. I'm worried that I'll mess it up." No. I've seen Miss Lin Huey's concert. You can get into the mood easily. You just need to change your singing mode to your acting role. With your natural charisma, you'll be able to connect with the female lead. Everything will go smoothly. Yu Shua quickly persuaded. Hui Lin struggled and looked at Lin Ruashi helplessly. Lin Ruashi listened quietly and said in a clear voice, "If that's the case, let's give it a try. Director, you came to invite you personally. If it doesn't work out, I believe, director, you won't blame us." Yang Cheng nodded. "But director, let's make this clear. Hui Er's appearance fee is very high." Lin Ruashi rolled her eyes at the man. Nothing had happened yet, and he was already raising the fee. Yu Shua smiled bitterly. But with Hui Lin's current popularity, it was impossible to give her a newcomer's fee. He might not be able to invite her for anything less than 10 million yuan. After a brief discussion, it was finally confirmed. As for the specifics, they could sign the document after discussing it with the people from the entertainment company. The filming would start in mid-September, so Huilin would have some time to prepare and familiarize herself with the script. After sending Yu Shua off, Guo Shuahua, who had been quiet all this while, finally asked, "Yang Cheng, Ruashi, whose child is this?" When the adults were talking, Lan sat on Min Wan's lap obediently. The little girl who had eaten her fill rubbed her belly and dozed off obediently. Mother Wang and the rest smiled and explained, "Shuehua, this child is Lan. You didn't know her because you weren't here. She's Miss Adopted Daughter." "Adopted daughter?" Guo Shuahua's mouth was so wide open that an egg could fit in it. After listening to Wang Ma's recount of the incident, Guo Shuahua was a little upset and said, "Ruashi, this isn't a good idea. You're still so young, married for less than 2 years, and you haven't even had a child. If you adopt a 4 or 5-year-old child, people will gossip about you." Chapter 994. Lin Ruashi took Lan from Min Wan's arms and looked at her daughter lovingly. "It's okay. I don't care about those things. I will treat Lan as my own daughter. I feel that we are congenial." As a mother, Wishiwahua could easily tell that Lin Ruashi loved this girl to death. The radiance in her eyes was a strong maternal love. Guo Shuahua looked at Yang Cheng helplessly. "Son, what do you think?" Yang Cheng smiled understandingly. "Mom, I know you're worried about Ruashi being bad-mouthed behind her back, but I have to be honest with you. Based on the current progress, it will take at least 10 years for us to have a child. You want to be a grandmother. Don't tell me you wanted to delay it for so long." 10 years. Guo Shuehua screamed. She was speechless like a statue. Yang Cheng nodded and told Guo Shuehua about his physical condition. Even Mother Wang, Hui Lin, and Jinxiu were shocked. "So, instead of waiting for a long time, I think it's better to raise Lan as my daughter. Ruashi likes her very much. I think this girl is a little similar to me. Look, she is so cute. She is worthy of being my daughter." Yang Cheng reached out to touch Lanlin's face. Lan pouted and wanted to bite Yang Cheng. "Bad uncle. Don't touch me. Chubby girl, don't call me uncle. You should call me dad." Everyone was speechless. Is this cute? Is this similar? Lan pouted unhappily. "Liar, uncle. Lan is not a chubby girl. You are not fat. Your appetite is about the same as mine. Look at you. Your face and hands are full of meat." Yang Cheng pinched Lanlin's tender arm again. After being mentioned by Yang Cheng, everyone noticed that although Lan did not look fat, her body was full of meat. But because of her agility, she looked light. Lan was so angry that her face turned into a bun. She snorted and leaned her head on Lin Ruashi's shoulder, ignoring Yang Cheng. Lin Ruashi smiled helplessly. "This is a child's baby fat. You are an adult and you are fighting with a little girl. Don't embarrass yourself. Who told her to always call me uncle? If I'm the uncle and you're the mother, then wouldn't our relationship as husband and wife be a mess? Yang Cheng said gloomily. Guo Shuehua quickly stopped. All right, since you guys have no objections, then I have no objections. But didn't you say that Lan Lan still has a grandfather? If Lan Lan's grandfather comes back in a month, what should we do? Mentioning this matter, Lin Ruoshi had a solemn expression and felt a little uneasy. The nanny, Min Wan, shrank to the side, not daring to interrupt. Yang Cheng looked at his wife's worried expression and sighed. If he comes back, I will talk to him. Even if I let him live with me, I will leave Lan Lan behind. Lin Ruoshi raised her head in surprise. Hubby, is what you said true? We already said that she's our daughter. Don't tell me she's going to be raised by someone else? Yang Cheng, on the other hand, had other thoughts in his heart. That Lan Lan's grandfather was clearly someone with an extraordinary cultivation, so he was very curious about his background. Since Yang Cheng had already said so, no one had any other thoughts. When encountering such an uncontrollable matter, it was up to Yang Cheng to make the final decision. Afterwards, Guo Shuehua asked Min Wan a few more things about Lan Lan and also learned about Min Wan's past. With her experience, she quickly became friendly with Min Wan and Lan Lan. When it was almost late at night, it was time to arrange for Min Wan and Lan Lan's sleep. Because the mansion that Lin Ruoshi bought was huge, there were quite a few empty guest rooms, so there was naturally no need to worry about space. The key was how to sleep. Lin Ruoshi immediately thought of the matter between herself and Yang Cheng, and her face was a little hot as she secretly glanced at Yang Cheng. Coincidentally, Yang Cheng was also looking at her with a bashful face. Lan Lan wants to sleep with mommy. Without waiting for Yang Cheng to speak, Lan Lan had already cried out. Lin Ruoshi was startled for a moment, but then she heaved a sigh of relief. She smiled and picked up Lan Lan. Then Lan Lan must be obedient and sleep on time. Hey, little fat girl, what are you fighting with me for? That's my wife. Go sleep with your Auntie Min Wan. Yang Cheng was not going to let it go and immediately stood up to fight. Lan Lan hugged Lin Ruoshi tightly. No, without mommy, Lan Lan won't sleep. Hey, if you don't want to sleep, then don't sleep for the whole night if you have the guts. Yang Cheng was really going to argue with the little girl. Min Wan showed a helpless expression and whispered, Mr. Yang, please be merciful and let Lan Lan sleep with Miss Lin. This child is different from others. She can really not sleep for a few days. If she doesn't sleep, all of us won't be able to live in peace. Yang Cheng was stunned, not understanding the situation. Lan Lan pouted her little mouth arrogantly. That's right, that's right. Lin Ruoshi looked at the stunned man with amusement and told him about how Lan Lan's energy was different from ordinary children. This was the first time Guo Shuehua heard it, and she was also very surprised, but at the same time, she caught a key point and asked curiously, Yang Cheng, don't you sleep in separate rooms with Ruoshi? Why today? Yang Cheng patted his chest proudly. Mom, today we don't say it. Lin Ruoshi's face was so red that juice was about to drip out. How could this man say such things so easily? Wasn't he ashamed to say such words in front of his mother? And he did it in the office. Only then did Yang Cheng shut his mouth, and Shan Shan smiled. But Guo Shuehua, even Jin Xiao and Hui Lin had already understood the meaning of it, and they couldn't help but smile at Lin Ruoshi. Jin Xiao even stepped forward and patted Lin Ruoshi's shoulder. Sister Ruoshi, congratulations. This congratulation made Lin Ruoshi so embarrassed that she wanted to put Lan Lan down, turn around, and strangle Jin Xiao to death. Guo Shuehua chuckled. Her son and daughter-in-law were finally together, and the family should be much more peaceful in the future. Since Lan Lan has such a problem, then take care of the child first. Yang Cheng, just bear with it. It's just a small matter. Think of a way to solve it yourself. Yang Cheng wanted to cry. He just had a taste of beauty, and now his wife was snatched away by a chubby girl. Grandma is the best. Suddenly, Lan Lan clapped her hands and called out in a childish voice. Guo Shuehua was stunned at first, then asked in disbelief, Lan Lan, what did you call me? Grandma. Mommy's mommy. That's Grandma. Grandpa told me. Lan Lan blinked her eyes and said. Guo Shuehua felt as if she had eaten honey. A sweet feeling surged into her heart. Although she felt awkward to have a relationship with a man she had never met before, she only felt that the cute girl in front of her was like a little angel, and her long-awaited desire was finally fulfilled. It was a pity that her real husband, Yang Pajuan, was already ruined, and the fate between the two of them ended a long time ago. Otherwise, they could still enjoy a family life together. Although she was adopted, Lan Lan was really cute, and when she called her grandma, Guo couldn't help but fall in love with this child. Lan Lan is so sensible. Guo hugged Lan Lan lovingly and rubbed her forehead on Lan Lan's forehead, blushing. Yang Cheng's heart skipped a beat, and he thought to himself, "This is bad. My status in the family isn't high, and now even the chubby girl who just entered the family is more pampered than me." In the end, after a series of laughter, they finally decided to let Min Wan sleep in a guest room alone, and Lan Lan would sleep with Lin Ruoshi. Lin Ruoshi's bed was very big, and Lan Lan was small, so it didn't matter at all. As for taking care of her during the day, Min Wan would continue to be responsible for it, and Mother Wang and Guo would be able to help at home. Normally, a child like Lan Lan should go to kindergarten, but she didn't have a specific identity certificate, and she didn't know if Lan Lan's grandfather would come back in a month, so she planned to apply for it after a month. As one of the richest women in Zhonghai, even without Yang Cheng, Lin Ruoshi could handle her daughter's identity and school matters with just a word. After waiting for the women of the family to go upstairs to wash up and sleep, Yang Cheng was downstairs watching the evening news in loneliness. Looking at the time, it was almost midnight, and Yang Cheng slowly walked upstairs, but he just took a few steps. Suddenly, a strange and arrogant divine sense came from outside. Yang Cheng frowned. Someone actually came to his door in the middle of the night to provoke him? Chapter 995. In just a flash, Yang Cheng had already appeared in a man-made forest garden to the south of the courtyard in the western suburbs. Surrounded by cypress trees, there was a pond. In the middle of the circular, pointed red pavilion, a man and a woman were already standing there. From the way these two were dressed, it was obvious that they were not roaming in the secular world. The man was wearing a gray checkered robe, and his hair was tied up in a bun. On his back was a 3-feet-long mountain wrapped in black cloth, giving him an elegant and handsome feeling. The woman was wearing a green robe and had long hair. Her appearance was passable, but the arrogance and indifference on her face made people feel uncomfortable. The man was at the late stage of soul formation, and the woman was at the middle and late stage of soul formation, which was about the same. The cold and arrogant divine sense just now was naturally emitted by the woman. When Yang Cheng was sizing up the two, the man and the woman were also sizing up Yang Cheng. When they discovered that they could not see through Yang Cheng's cultivation, they revealed a look of surprise. Yang Cheng's gaze lingered on the waist of the two, and he was surprised to see that there was a token with the word Huang hanging on their waists. It was exactly the same as the token with the word Huang on the sloppy Taoist that he had encountered before. It seemed that these two were Hongmeng Huang rank figures. Previously, the black-robed Hongmeng messenger suddenly died, so it was reasonable for Hongmeng to send people to check. However, looking at the two, they did not seem to be friendly. "You are Yang Cheng?" The woman spoke first and asked coldly. Yang Cheng secretly thought that these two's cultivation was obviously not as good as his, and even far from it, but they still looked so arrogant. It seemed that they did not put him in their eyes because they had the entire Hongmeng behind them. Thinking of this, Yang Cheng was a bit angry. It was fine if people who were stronger than him were so disdainful, but these two people who relied on their master's power dared to be so arrogant. He must not let them have it easy. "Since you found this place, do you still need confirmation?" Yang Cheng said with a faint smile. "Answer my question honestly. We don't have time to waste with you." The woman frowned. "Let me ask you, was Tianyin monk killed by Yinbuan?" Yang Cheng found it funny and said, "Out of nowhere, I still don't know who you are. Who is Monk Tianyin? Don't play dumb. We are the special envoys from Hongmeng to thoroughly investigate Yinbuan's case. I'm Lu Huoding, and this is my senior brother, Hao Changfeng. The two of us represent Hongmeng to interrogate you. The monk we're talking about is naturally the monk in the Black Kasaya. Tianyin was the current Hongming emissary. He was murdered in Yinjing within a few months of his departure, and his soul tablet was broken. This incident has alarmed the elders of Hongming. You'd better tell us everything that happened at that time to avoid trouble. Lu Huading snorted coldly. Soul tablet? So there was such a thing. No wonder he knew immediately after a person died. You should ask General Kai of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade about this. Isn't his words more convincing? Yang Cheng said. Kai Yunqing said that you killed Yin Buin with an absolute advantage and used the power of thunder to kill Yin Buin. Is that true? Lu Huading asked suspiciously. Yang Cheng didn't deny it and nodded. Of course, General Kai wouldn't lie to you for no reason. The power of thunder, the power of thunder is one of the most powerful divine powers in the world. If you can really control the power of thunder, why didn't you kill Yin Buin first? Instead, you waited for our Hongming emissary to die before you made your move? Lu Huading's eyes flickered. Yang Cheng smiled. That's my fault? Then why don't you ask that idiot monk why he wanted to die when he obviously couldn't win? What did you say, idiot? Lu Huading was furious. Hao Changfeng gestured for his junior sister to calm down and asked, All right, even if Tianyin monk miscalculated and was killed by Yin Buin, why are his Demon Slayer wand and other treasures nowhere to be found? Didn't Kai Yunqing tell you that they were all destroyed by Yin Buin's antimatter energy? That's what he said, but he's just a mortal. Naturally, he couldn't see through the tricks of some cultivators. As far as we know, you inherited the divinity of the previous Pluto and possessed the power of the law of space. If you wanted to hide those treasures in a parallel space, they wouldn't be able to find out. You suspect me of stealing the treasures? Yang Cheng cursed in his heart. I do want those treasures, the more the better. But the problem is that they were really destroyed by that dog Yin Buin. Not only that, he used the Qinyuan Tiangang bracelet in an emergency, but it was also blasted into pieces. To tell you the truth, only the Kasaya, the shield, and the Demon Slayer wand belonged to Tianyin monk. The other two were lent to him before he was appointed as the envoy of Hongming. If you keep them for yourself, it's the same as stealing from Hongming. Yang Cheng thought that this group of cultivators did not seem to be rich. Why did they have to borrow the treasures to keep up appearances? Si Yao Qiqing once said that the hidden families were the real nouveau riche. It seemed that it was true. Destroyed is destroyed. If you want me to think that I stole them, there's nothing I can say. Yang Cheng shrugged. Lu Huading's expression darkened. Don't think that you're so great just because your cultivation is higher than the two of us. The elders of Hongming are as many as the clouds. If you don't answer us clearly and deliberately cause the death of our Hongming envoy, even if you're a member of the Yang family, no one will be able to protect you. What a joke. You people from Hongming are not as skilled as others, yet you still blame me, the person who avenged him, after he died. You don't have the ability to protect Huaxia's foundation, so don't talk nonsense. Not only are you saying things after the fact, but you're also shamelessly framing your benefactor. Yang Cheng sneered. Arrogant to the extreme. Don't think that we don't dare to touch you. Lu Huading said sinisterly. That depends on whether you have the ability or not. A wild cultivator dares to be enemies with us, Hongming. I think you're used to running amok in this filthy world and don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Hao Changfeng saw that his junior sister had the intention to make a move, so he calmly pressed on Lu Huading's shoulder. Junior sister, this person's cultivation is higher than ours. Although he's suspicious, it's better to report to Master first and let him make the decision. Lu Huading's brows flashed coldly. Senior brother is right. Let's keep him for a few days. With Master's methods, he won't dare to speak carelessly. The truth will come to light sooner or later. After saying that, the two of them took a deep look at Yang Cheng and planned to leave. However, Yang Cheng's eyes were filled with coldness as he blocked their path in a flash. Leaving so soon? I still want to keep the two envoys from Hongming for a cup of tea. Yang Cheng smiled innocently. No need. If you want to drink tea, you have to be the head of the Yang family. It's not your turn yet, Lu Huading said disdainfully. Yang Cheng said awkwardly, but I don't want the two of you to leave just like that. What should I do? Hao Changfeng was a little vigilant. Don't tell me you want to fight with us? Openly going against Hongming? Hey, what are you talking about? I wouldn't dare. Yang Cheng hurriedly smiled and waved his hand. I'm just worried that if you guys go back and invite a very powerful expert, that expert will insist that I killed the monk on purpose. What should I do then? You don't have to worry about this. My master is clear and upright. He has never falsely accused a good person. If you don't have a guilty conscience, then stay in Zhonghai obediently. When my master comes, he will naturally know whether you're secretly playing tricks or not, Lu Huading said proudly. Yang Cheng nodded and suddenly thought of something. Both of you, does everyone in Hongming have a soul tablet? Why are you asking this? Hao Changfeng frowned. Yang Cheng had a friendly look on his face. Don't be nervous. I'm just curious because I met an extremely sloppy-looking Taoist before. I asked him if he wasn't afraid of being caught by the people of Hongming. He said that you guys wouldn't be able to find him. All right, that Taoist also knows what kind of blood dragon golden blade. What? Lu Huading exclaimed. Blood dragon golden blade? How did you meet that traitor Taoist Huang Yun? Traitor? Yang Cheng was confused. You guys know him? Why do you say he's a traitor? I think he's quite kind and even chatted with him for a while. Yang Cheng only felt that his acting skills had reached perfection. He could even say such nonsense so smoothly. There is no reason in the world that the Oscar Best Actor award would not be given to him. Lu Huading and Hao Changfeng looked at each other in disbelief, as if they had heard something strange. Chapter 996. Huang Yun betrayed Hongming and joined one of the ancient clans, the Luo clan. The blood dragon golden dagger and the demon-suppressing golden hammer were given to him by the Luo clan. He wasn't sent by Hongming to the All Heavens Island, so we didn't set up a soul tablet for him. Hao Changfeng asked suspiciously, but the problem is, why did he meet you after coming out of the illusion? Are you related to him and the Luo clan? Yang Chen sighed when he heard this. He was interested in a bottle of high-quality medicinal pills given to me by my master to aid in my cultivation. Elixirs? You mean elixirs for cultivation? Lu Huading's eyes lit up. Yang Cheng muttered in his heart. Why is it like a tigress in heat? But he had to continue making up stories. Sigh. He tried to get close to me at first, saying that he was from Hongming. I've always wanted to go to Hongming's illusion. He said that he could go, but I had to give him some elixirs. I was suspicious. There are so many strange people in Hongming. Why would they care about those elixirs? At this point, Yang Chan intentionally paused and looked at the pair of siblings. Hao Changfeng and Lu Huading exchanged glances and understood each other tacitly. That's right. We of Hongming are determined to protect Hua Xia's foundation. We're focused on cultivation and pursuing the heavenly Tao, so we won't be shameless like Taoist Huang Yun and work for the Luo clan. But do you really have elixirs that are worth him going through so much trouble to trick you? Hao Changfeng asked. Yang Cheng patted his chest. Look at me. I'm only in my 20s and I don't have any common knowledge about cultivation. I have to figure out on my own. If I didn't have the help of good elixirs, how could I have this cultivation? After hearing Yang Cheng's words, Hao Changfeng and Lu Huading believed him more. Indeed, although they couldn't see Yang Cheng's exact cultivation, it was obvious that he was a level higher than them. The two of them had been cultivating since they were young. In the secular world, they were already more than 60 years old. They just looked young. In particular, he had stayed in the soul formation stage for almost 30 years. It could be said that he was hungry for a breakthrough. But why was your pill discovered by Huang Yun? Yang Cheng had a helpless look on his face. Wasn't it because he said that he wanted to appraise each other's treasures? He took out the blood flood dragon golden blade and other magical weapons. I'm a prideful person, but I don't have any magical weapons, so I had to take out my medicinal pills. Later, when he saw my spirit pill, he said that he wanted me to give it to him. He was even willing to exchange magic treasures with me. But that was passed down to me by my master. How could I give it away so easily? We were having a good chat at first, but in the end, it turned into a fight with him. It was a draw and he ran away, so I didn't bother too much about it. You're saying that Taoist Huang Yun is willing to use his Dharma treasures to exchange for spiritual pills with you? Hao Changfeng asked with a strange look in his eyes. Yang Cheng laughed in his heart. It seemed that they really didn't know that he had killed the slovenly Taoist. This was easy to deal with. Yeah, actually, I'm not sure how effective that medicinal pill is. It's just that when I run into a bottleneck in my cultivation, I'll eat one and then work hard to break through. It's quite useful, Yang Cheng said. On the other hand, Hao Changfeng and Lu Huiting's eyes were filled with excitement. They didn't think too much about how Huang Yun found Yang Cheng. Is your spiritual pill the Heaven Cloud pill? Yang Cheng said in distress. I don't know what kind of pill it is. To be honest, I don't know anything about spiritual pills or magic treasures. My master left after giving it to me. What Yang Cheng didn't know was that at this moment, Hao Changfeng and Lu Huiting were using a secret method to communicate with each other through divine sense. Senior brother, if it's really as effective as he said, even if it's not a Heaven Cloud pill, it's still a superior grade spiritual pill. Otherwise, why would Taoist Huang Yun be willing to exchange it with a Dharma treasure? That's right. If it's really a Heaven Cloud pill, it's understandable. That's a spiritual pill that can help a soul formation cultivator reach the crossing tribulation realm by more than 50%. This foppish son of the Yang family actually ate the Heaven Cloud pill as soon as he touched the bottleneck. What a waste of a treasure. If we have the Heaven Cloud pill, I'm afraid that in less than 3 years, we'll have a chance to reach the peak of the soul formation late stage and advance to the crossing tribulation realm. It's not just us. Even Master is probably drooling over it. Apart from the few Heaven Stage elders, there aren't many Earth Stage Masters in our All Heavens Island who have superior grade spiritual pills. After exchanging some secret messages, the two of them made up their minds. They had to find a way to get such a good thing. In any case, with their backing from Hongmeng, Yang Cheng wouldn't dare to do anything to them if they used some tricks to trick them into giving it to them. Although Yang Cheng couldn't hear the two's secret messages, he could sense the strange movements of their divine senses. He knew very well what they were up to. He sneered inwardly. As expected, they weren't good people. Cultivators were actually people who seized the fortune of heaven and earth. They didn't have a pure heart and few desires. If they really had no desires, why would they pursue realms, cultivation, and longevity? At the end of the day, it was just a disdain for worldly values and the pursuit of the more illusory heavenly Tao. Yang Cheng didn't despise this kind of thinking. Every man for himself would be destroyed by heaven and earth. The key was that what he wanted to do would be more ruthless than what others did. He would take whatever he could, not to mention these two people in front of him. If those fellows from Hongmeng or the hidden families had any good treasures that could strengthen him and help his women achieve longevity, then he would take all of them. As for whether they lived or died, what did that have to do with him? Weren't they just a bunch of beasts who fought over delicious meat? Same to same. At this moment, Hao Changfeng revealed a serious expression and said, Yang Cheng, do you have the spirit pill with you? What's wrong? Why do you have such an expression? Yang Cheng had a guilty look on his face, but in his heart, he secretly muttered, It's starting. This guy's going to start acting. Do you know that if you really took the Heaven Cloud pill, then you'll be in big trouble right now? Hao Changfeng sighed. What do you mean? The Heaven Cloud pill is actually a kind of slow poison. Although it can help cultivators break through, or even all the way to the tribulation stage, it will slowly accumulate some poison in your body that you can't detect. Yang Cheng revealed a surprised expression. Is that possible? My master wouldn't harm me. We don't know about that, Lu Huiting said proudly. We are special envoys from Hongmeng. Why would we lie to you? What benefits does this bring to us? If it wasn't for the fact that you're a descendant of the Yang family, we wouldn't even bother to care about you. Yang Cheng looked like he was struggling. Then I'm poisoned now? It should be, but you don't have to worry. We haven't seen your pill yet, so we can't be sure if it's the Heaven Cloud pill or not. If it's on you, we can help you confirm it. But in order to prevent me from meeting that guy like Huangyan Taoist again, I put the pill in a remote ravine far away, Yang Cheng said gloomily. Hao Changfeng and Lu Huiting's lips twitched. Don't worry, we're not in a hurry to go back. Since we found out that you didn't kill Monk Tianyin on purpose, then we have the responsibility to take care of the descendants of the four great families. Why don't you take us to see your pill? If it's really the Heaven Cloud pill, we can ask our master to concoct an antidote for you, Hao Changfeng said righteously. Yang Cheng was stunned. Your master knows how to concoct an antidote? Of course, but Hao Changfeng was a little troubled. I'm just afraid that you won't believe us. What do you mean? Yang Cheng asked. Because the antidote for the Heaven Cloud pill uses the Heaven Cloud pill itself as a catalyst. We need to take your Heaven Cloud pill back to Hongmeng's All Heavens Island and make it into an antidote before sending it back to you, Hao Changfeng said. Yang Cheng sneered in his heart. They were really good at making things up, but he revealed a troubled expression on his face. That's the only thing my master left me. Lu Huoding said indifferently. We haven't seen that pill yet, so it might not be the Heaven Cloud pill. It's possible that it's something else. Instead of looking for trouble, why don't you take us to see it first? Although they said that, the two had already made up their minds. No matter what pill it was, they would say it was the Heaven Cloud pill, because Yang Cheng was obviously an idiot when it came to pills. However, Yang Cheng's eyes were full of conflict. After thinking for a long time, he sighed, All right, I don't want to die either. But don't try to steal my elixir like that Taoist Huangyan did, or I'll fight you to the death. What a joke. If we, Hongmeng, are like the lackeys of those hidden families, can we still be called Huaxia's protectors? Hao Changfeng said disdainfully. In his heart, he thought, why do we need to steal it? To deal with an idiot like you who only has a cultivation base, we can get the elixir with just a few words. Even if we're discovered, there's no proof. Do you still dare to go to Hongmeng's All Heavens Island to steal something? Yang Cheng scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. If that's the case, then come with me. That place is a bit far, but it'll be fast for you to fly there. Hao Changfeng and Lu Huoding nodded nonchalantly, but their hearts were burning with passion. They couldn't let the cat out of the bag until the last moment. They had already made up their minds. Once they got the elixir, they would secretly cultivate in seclusion. They couldn't let the other people on the All Heavens Island know about it. At the very least, they had to break through to the tribulation passing stage first. The three of them leaped into the air. At the soul-forming stage, flying in the air with true inner force was a natural thing to do. The fastest way was naturally to fly on a sword or a Dharma treasure. However, that required a special incantation, and not everyone could do it. 3 shadows flashed across the sky, and no one in the silent city noticed them. Soon, they disappeared into the forest in the north of Zhonghai.